Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, back at you with a new video. Today is Wednesday, May 28th, 2025, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can. Cash App $ ORION NWSF or the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got the Washington Nationals versus the Seattle Mariners. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 5 minutes. So let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Wednesday, everyone. And on the thumb on the left is the left fielder stud, James Wood. And on the right, the best catcher in MLB. 2 home runs last night. You know who it is. It is Big Dumper Cal Raleigh. Now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Washington Nationals. Leading off for the Nats at shortstop, C.J. Abrams. Batting second, playing left field, James Wood. Batting third, playing first base, Nathaniel Lowe. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, catching today for the Nationals, Hebert Ruiz. Batting fifth, playing second base, Luis Garcia Jr. Batting sixth, DHing today for Washington, Josh Bell. Batting seventh, playing center field, Robert Hassel III. Batting eighth, playing third base, Jose Tena. And batting ninth, playing right field, Dalen Lyle. And on the mound for the Nationals with a 2-5 record, an ERA of 6.39, it is Trevor Williams. And now let's get into the starting lineup for the home Seattle Mariners. Leading off for the Mariners at shortstop, J.P. Crawford. Batting second, DHing for Seattle, Jorge Polanco. Batting third, playing center field, Julio Rodriguez. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, catching today for the Mariners, Big Dumper Cal Raleigh. Batting fifth, playing left field, Randy Arozarena. Batting sixth, playing first base, Rowdy Tellez. Batting seventh, playing right field, Leody Taveras. Batting eighth, playing second base, Miles Mastroboni. And batting ninth, playing third base, Ben Williamson. And on the mound for the Mariners, making his second start of the 2025 season, having shoulder inflammation in spring training. First start didn't go well. 0-1 record, ERA of 12.27. And we know that's not who George is. Normally his ERA is 3 or lower. So hopefully he'll cut this ERA down at least to, maybe somewhere in that 5 to 7 range. And then eventually it'll be in the 3s and the 4s. Let's hope he has a solid outing here today. You know who it is, George Kirby. Let's go, George. And we'll be shooting for 20 likes within the first hour, 50 overall, and 100 in the donos on every single stream. Daniel in the building, what's good? Let's go, baby. All right, let me get settled in with all of my screens here, and we're going to get into first pitch here just momentarily. And what a performance last night by Logan Evans. And essentially, you know, we might be the only team in baseball that could go with a 6-man rotation. You know, we are going to be getting Logan Gilbert back pretty soon. George Kirby just came back. Bryce Miller might be coming back pretty soon as well. So they had to move Logan Evans down to AAA today to make some room for Jackson Koa. Obviously, they're in the pen. And since Logan just pitched, that's the reason why they decided to send him down, not based off performance, because yesterday was one of the best games that I've seen from the Mariners top to bottom in 2025. So Emerson Hancock pitches tomorrow. And if you had to choose, you know, between Hancock or Evans, you're definitely sending Emerson Hancock down to AAA. But again, it's only temporary. We will see Logan Evans back. And obviously going 8 solid innings yesterday, only giving up a run. Pretty smooth performance. And hopefully we'll be able to see him back in the lineup sooner than later. Love me some Logan Evans. Definitely reminds me of Brian Wu when we had him in the 5-hole, you know, a few years back. Scotty Mack in the building. How are you, my guy? Go Ems. Hope that you're doing well. Miss you, brother. First pitch from George Kirby to C.J. Abrams, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour by George Kirby. 1-0 count. And hopefully we can limit the walks and limit the damage, and hopefully we get a good outing here from George Kirby, because obviously his first start coming back, you know, from the injury was not good. Plain and simple. So he's got to be much better here today. 1-0 pitch, high and away with a 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour. 2-0 count to C.J. Abrams. Not the initial start that we want, but I know he'll get better as the game goes on. Hopefully he can get somewhere between 5 and 6 Ks and, again, you know, be productive in 5 to 6 innings. 2-0 pitch, fouled off, high and away, trying to paint that corner. 4-seam fastball again, 95 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike from Kirby to Abrams. And really the only person to worry about in this entire lineup is going to be the stud up-and-coming left fielder James Wood, who had the only run with a solo dinger yesterday. And again, it's not like, you know, none of the other players, you know, can produce, but really that's the only one I think that we should be very concerned about. 2-1 pitch in play, and Abrams grounds out to first. 1 away. Next up, left fielder in the 2-hole, my favorite player on the Nationals, James Wood. And again, if he ends up being the guy that gets a home run or 2, but the Mariners win, so be it. Again, I want to be able to scout, you know, every single player on every single team that the Mariners play. Do love what I see from James Wood. And again, you know, they just need a few more James Woods on the team to be a little bit more competitive. First pitch, high and away to Wood on a 4-seam fastball, 1-0 count. Let's go, George. I need you to wheel and deal, baby. Bring that electricity today. 1-0 pitch. Takes a strike, looking with a slider, painting that corner. 88 miles an hour there. 1 ball and 1 strike from Kirby to Wood. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 20 within the first hour, 50 overall, and obviously 100 in the donos on every single stream. 1-1 pitch, low and away with a knuckle curve. 84 miles an hour there from Kirby to Wood. 2 balls and 1 strike to James Wood. 2-1 pitch, 4-seam fastball fouled off by Wood. 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Top of the first inning, 0-0, Nats and Mariners. And this is definitely a series that we can kind of regain some ground that we lost against the Astros, only winning 1 game out of 4. We should be able to sweep this team. At least, at the very least, you know, 2 out of 3. And big swing and a miss for James Wood, their best player on the team. 2 away. Nice punch out there by George Kirby. Nice to see him get at least 1 or 2 in the first inning. Way to be, George. I see you. Next up for George Kirby, in the 3-hole, first baseman Nathaniel Lowe. Let's go, baby. We need hits, we need runs, and we need Kirby to pitch much better than he did in his first attempt, coming back from the injury. First pitch, high and inside, fouled off with a four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour by George Kirby. And Kirby is probably the closest thing to a Greg Maddux that we have in 2025. He's really all about location, even though he can pitch top-end speed from 95 to 98. But again, doesn't walk a whole lot of guys, throughout his matchups when he's healthy. And hopefully he ends up having a solid outing here this Wednesday evening. 0-1 pitch, high and away with the four-seam fastball. 1 ball and 1 strike from Kirby to Lowe. Let's get out of this inning unscathed, baby. One-two pitch, fouled off with that slider. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Kirby to Lowe. Daniel in the building, what's good? Scott in the building, what's good? Alec in the building, what's good? How are you? I mean, based on their roster and, who they have pitching, I mean, this, nothing is a guaranteed win. But, again, we should, based off the talent level that we have, we should be able to sweep this national team. But, again, the magic number is going to be 4 to 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits. And we almost had that number within the first inning yesterday. Not sure if we're going to get the same result here today. It would be great if we could. But Julio and Cal, it's like Jordan and Pippen all over again. And I love what I'm seeing, with our 2 superstars. Pitch fouled off again by Nathaniel Lowe, working this count. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Kirby on the mound, making it only his second start of the 2025 season, having shoulder inflammation and missing 50-plus games. So it was much worse than they first reported. But, he got rocked in his first start, but I think today will be much better. And Kirby gets out Nathaniel Lowe. I love it, baby. Let's go. Let's go to the bottom of the first inning, still knotted up at 0. Leading off for the Mariners at shortstop, J.P. Crawford. And if J.P., can get a little bloop single like he did yesterday, Julio is going to be there in the 3-hole. Obviously, Polo sat out the game yesterday, obviously due to, the pitcher being a certain hand. But again, nice to be able to see Polo back in the lineup. But again, maybe we can get some early hits, at the top of the order, maybe out of JP and Polo, even though we know Polo's got that home run power. We've seen it time and time again, even though he has cooled off. And then we got Julio in the 3-hole, Big Dumper Cal in the 4-hole. Let's go. Yeah, and it's not like the Nationals, are like the Colorado Rockies or anything like that, or even the Chicago White Sox from last year. But, they're 24-30. But, again, we are a first-place team. And, again, it's one thing when you end up losing to someone that's in, like, second place in the division, your number one rival like the Astros. Yeah, that's one thing. But, again, there's a number of factors where things can kind of go sideways, like in that White Sox series on the road. When we had that rain delay, I figured that kind of ruined, the rhythm and the momentum and the normal kind of just progression of the game. So, unfortunately, we didn't do as well as we should have on that road trip. But, we're back at home for a 9-game homestand. Yesterday was game 1. This is game 2. And hopefully we can go 6-3 or better to make up some of the ground that we lost against the Stros. And Lowe struck out swinging in that last at-bat. George Kirby with 2 Ks in the first inning, and that's exactly what you want to see from a guy that struggled, lost his first start, about a week ago. And a 12.27 ERA is ridiculous for a guy as good as George Kirby. But again, when you're injured, you got to be able to work your way back. And again, we'll see what happens here. First pitch to J.P. Crawford, lined out to second base, throw to first, 1 away. J.P. getting overly aggressive in the box as well, but it has been working for him as of late. Next up, DHing for the Mariners, Jorge Polanco. Welcome back to the lineup, my guy. Let's see if you can bring that power in the bat. First pitch from Williams to Polo, takes a strike looking on the corner, 0-1 count. Trevor Williams on the mound here for the Nats, 2-5 record, ERA of 6.39, so nothing really to get intimidated by. We should be able to rough him up early and often. 0-1 pitch, low and away with the sinker, 86 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike from Trevor Williams to Jorge Polanco. Let's go, Polo. We need that bat, baby. Let's go. 1-1 pitch. Low and at the knees with the changeup, 80 miles an hour to Jorge Polanco. 2 balls and 1 strike with 1 out and nobody on. Bottom of the first inning, we're knotted up here at 0. Come on, Polo. Get on base. You never know. You know, that Julio might still have that magic stick and end up, going yard. Same thing with Cal Raleigh. It's been a magnificent run for both of those guys. Especially in May for Julio, but it's been a great March, April, and May for Cal. He is a top 5 MVP candidate. Down goes Jorge Polanco, 2 away. It's okay, Polo. Still love you. Next up, center fielder, Julio Rodriguez. First pitch to Julio and grounded out to the shortstop, throw to first, and a very fast inning there for Williams and the Nationals. Not what I was expecting. I mean, I didn't expect us to score 3 runs in the first inning like yesterday. Julio with a 2-run jack, Cal with a solo dinger yesterday. Obviously very overly aggressive, in the swings by JP and Julio. And, normally that's not an issue. And hopefully things will get better as the game goes on. End of the first inning. Let's go to the top of the second. And we're still knotted up here at 0. Let's see who's up next here in the top of the second for the Nats. Next up for the Nationals, catching today in the 4-hole, Keibert Ruiz. Batting second, playing second base, Luis Garcia Jr. And batting third in the 6-hole, DHing Josh Bell. Let's go, George. Let's go, Mariners. Good luck, man. Hopefully you win. And even if you win and don't donate, I'm still rooting for you. Appreciate you, my guy. But good luck with those. And we'll be live tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's pretty rare to have the time of the game 3 times in a row, at the same time. That's pretty unusual even for the Mariners. 6:40, 6:40, and 6:40. But tomorrow there's only like 4 or 5 games on total for the MLB. And this one's nationally televised on FS1. So not today, but tomorrow. So definitely looking forward to that matchup as well. And again, this is going to be not easy, but also I don't think it's going to be as difficult as some of the other series that we had in the last 2 weeks. You should be able to take advantage of this team. Let's go, baby. And I got all kinds of crazy stats from Cal Raleigh. He has just been motherfucking incredible, in the last, I don't even know what to say. I mean, the stats just keep getting better and better and better with a guy like this. And again, let's see if I can pull up some of the stats that I pulled up. All right, Cal Raleigh in 2025, right? He already has homered from both sides of the plate in a game, April 16th. Homered twice from the left side on my birthday, May 2nd, and homered twice from the right side yesterday. He's the first catcher in MLB history to do that, all 3 in the same year. 1-0 pitch, and Ruiz flies out to left, 1 away. Down goes Keibert on 2 pitches. Next up is Luis Garcia Jr. But wild to see, his power. And again, the difference between him and all the other catchers, it is ridiculous. It's not even a comparison. First pitch to Luis Garcia Jr. fouled off low and away. 0-1 count from George Kirby. Oh, 1 pitch, high and away with that knuckle curve. 1 ball and 1 strike from Kirby to Garcia Jr. Let's go, George. One pitch, high and away with a splitter. 86 miles an hour there by Kirby. 2 balls and 1 strike from Kirby to Garcia. Most home runs first 4 career seasons in Mariners history. Cal Raleigh already has the record with 93. Alvin Davis was number 2, an old school player from the Mariners at 92, and Julio's got 90. So to be able to have Cal and Julio, it's like a Jordan Pippen combo. It definitely is a very special team here in 2025. 2-1 pitch, in play. Back. See ya! Luis Garcia Jr. with an unexpected homer on George Kirby. All right, Luis, I knew that you were going to come up big at some point in the series, but I did not expect it there. Nice solo jack by Luis Garcia Jr. 1-0 Nats. We cannot let them, score, above 5 runs. We got to make sure we're matching the energy. Next up, DHing Josh Bell. George Kirby's early struggles seem to continue. Yeah, not only is Cal going to break the record, for home runs with catchers in general, but by the time his career is said and done, he might end up being, recognized as one of the best catchers of all time, if he can stay healthy and stay on this kind of trajectory. He's only been in, since 2021 as a part-time player, 2022 as a first-time starter. And again, if he plays 15 to 20 years, we might be talking about him and, guys like Johnny Bench and obviously Pudge Rodriguez, Mike Piazza, and a few others as well. 1-1 pitch, high and inside to Josh Bell. 2 balls and 1 strike from Kirby to Bell. Odin with a 5er to get us started. I appreciate that. 2-1 pitch, takes a strike swinging. Big swing and a miss, high and away on a 4-seam fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Kirby to Bell. Not JT in the building. What's good? Two-two pitch. Low and at the knees with a slider by Kirby. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Josh Bell. Appreciate you, Odin. $5 holla. 95 to go. Stacks on stacks. Racks on racks with a little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. Appreciate you. $5 holla. 95 to go. Let's get it, baby. Stand with Ukraine in the building. What's good? Trident's up. Go M's. Let's go, baby. And, they're going to score a few runs, but again, if we can have them limit the damage, that would be obviously better for us. Back. See ya! Well, you might have to pull George Kirby immediately. And it's funny that Logan Evans ended up having one of the best games that we've seen, out of a Mariners pitcher in a long time. And they sent him down, for a relief guy that had Tommy John, Koa. And again, Kirby is not ready. Josh Bell goes yard, just like Luis Garcia Jr. They're trying to do exactly what the Mariners did yesterday, back to back, as Drake would say. And we're down 2-0. At least they're only solo dingers, but not what we want to see out of George Kirby. Next up, center fielder Robert Hassel III. And hopefully we don't get back homers. Otherwise, we're going to be down 3-0, just like when we were up 3-0 on the Nats yesterday. They're trying to give us a little bit of our own medicine. Fucking A, George. Come on now. George needs to go back to AAA, baby. But sometimes you got to admit a spade is a spade, right? And Hassel singled the center. Again, this is getting worse by the minute here. Solo dinger by Luis Garcia Jr. See ya. Solo dinger by Josh Bell. See ya. And then a nice little single from Robert Hassel III. Next up, an 8-hole third baseman, Jose Tena. Got to get out of the fucking inning now. But not exactly what we expected. And we got to bring Logan Evans back up. And I know that they think that they need help in the bullpen, which they do. But Logan Evans is not the guy to send down after he had one of the best Mariner games that we've seen in years. Pitched 8 solid innings, a guy that's from AAA. He's got a better record than most of the staff on the Mariners, right there with Brian Wu. And hopefully they recognize that Logan Evans has got the it factor. And right now, Bryce Miller doesn't look good. He's still injured, obviously, with the back and the elbow. George Kirby doesn't look good. And hopefully when we bring up Logan Gilbert, he doesn't look like this because, again, the youth movement is real. And I want to be able to see the best players play, regardless on who those guys may be. First pitch to Tenna, fouls that one off. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour by Kirby. 0-1 count. But at least, with Kirby struggling, at least it was only solo dingers back-to-back rather than, one of them being like a 2-run jack or like a 3-run jack or a grand salami. Because if that would have happened, I'm not sure if we're going to come back. I mean, I know the bats will come alive at some point, and we got to see what their bullpen looks like, but not ideally the best start. Kirby already had an ERA of 12 and got fucking rocked in his first start, and it was a tough one against the Astros. They're still a good team, but, to give up home runs to the fucking Nationals? Come on, my guy. Come on, George. Send him back to AAA. He obviously isn't ready. So, yeah, they are going to bring Evans back, and, again, they might be the only team that could actually run a 6-man rotation. We have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. If you had to choose between Evans and Hancock, it's Hancock. That guy should go to AAA. But again, Miller and Kirby, if they're not ready yet, they shouldn't be, obviously in the big leagues. You got to make sure that those guys are healthy and they're ready. And obviously Kirby does not look like he's ready yet. And again, Logan Evans deserves, to be in the starting rotation. And again, if it was me, hopefully at some point when they're healthy, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Brian Wu, Luis Castillo, Logan Evans. I would even go Logan Evans over Bryce Miller. And that's really saying something because, Bryce Miller actually has been pretty good the last couple years. But again, he hasn't been good this year. So what are we doing? Are we hanging on to guys that used to be good? Or are we going to actually play a guy that's good right now in 2025? So Logan Evans, to me, seems like the Brian Wu of last year, where he might not have started as many games as like Kirby and Gilbert and Castillo. But if you actually looked at his record and his ERA, Wu was the best pitcher, last year. So, again, even with limited starts besides Logan Gilbert, and, we'll see. But I would assume, the transaction was just temporary. And obviously Hancock pitches tomorrow. So that's why they didn't send him down for Kowar, the relief pitcher, coming off Tommy John and, going that route. So we will see Logan Evans back because the Mariners sometimes are stupid, but they're not stupid to realize record, ERA, and guys that are actually playing well. You don't want to bench a guy or send a guy down that's doing great. What are you trying to do? Like literally had the best game of his career, and they're like, well, we're going to send you down, because we have to make room for this, relief pitcher who may or may not even be good, having Tommy John. And again, anytime you have Tommy John, just like Matt Brash did, you don't really know what you're going to get. So. Go to the bottom of the second inning, and again, it shows you how important pitching really is. You can go based off name recognition, and normally when George is healthy, he's a top 20 pitcher in MLB. But right now, 0-1 record, got rocked by the Stros, 12.27 ERA, already has given up 2 home runs against this not very good national team, if we're being real. They're not as bad as the Rockies, but, they're not making the playoffs this year, and hopefully we can get better. First pitch to Big Dumper. Low and away, 4-seam fastball, 1-0 count. Cal with 2 home runs from the right side, and now he's on the left side here to start the game. 1-0 pitch, fouled off, high and away with the 4-seam fastball. 1 ball and 1 strike from Williams to Big Dumper. 1-1 pitch, low and away with a sweeper, 76 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike from Williams to Raleigh. 2-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away with the changeup there, 80 miles an hour by Williams. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Big Dumper. Yeah, I mean, I got faith in George to get better, but again, it shows you, you can be good like Bryce Miller, but it's not his year this year, and he's not ready, and again, we'll see what he looks like when he comes back, but, you not only have a back issue, an elbow issue, but a mental issue, and we'll see where it goes, but I'm not holding my breath. And then obviously with George Kirby, this might be a lost season for him. We have to come to that reality that, when you're out for the first 50 games, we hope that he'll get better, but it might be kind of a year that's just a wash, and we got to wait till next year. Down goes Big Dumper, flied out to center, 1 away. Next up is Randy Arozarena. First pitch, in play with a sweeper, lined out to center as well. 2 away. Come on, Cal. Come on, Randy. We need someone to step up. Possibly could be this guy, first baseman, Rowdy Tellez. But again, if they keep Miller, on the injured list a little bit longer to make sure he's right, that's fine. And obviously George Kirby probably should go back to AAA. And they got to bring Logan Evans back, on the team, period. Logan Gilbert will be coming back pretty soon as well. But, again, it's not what, have you done for me in the past? It's what have you done for me lately? First pitch, takes a strike looking, low and away. 0-1 count from Williams to Tellez. 0-1 pitch. Takes another strike looking, low and away with a sweeper this time around, 75 miles an hour by Williams. Behind in the count now 0-2. Bottom of the second inning, 2-0 Nats. George Kirby had a rough start against the Astros, lost it. 12.27 ERA, which is terrible. And again, gave up 2 home runs back-to-back to Luis Garcia Jr. and Josh Bell, and we're down 2-0. But at least we're only down 2. Could be worse. 0-2 pitch, low and away, about 10 feet off the plate. Change up there, gets away from Williams. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Rowdy Tellez. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing to see, Logan Gilbert injured, George Kirby injured, Bryce Miller injured. Like, how many teams in MLB, right, could actually have 3 of their top 5 starters injured for a good chunk of the first 50 games and still have an above 500 record? I mean, we're talking only a couple. And nice to be able to see that we were able to hang tough, stay afloat. But it also gives an opportunity for Emerson Hancock, Logan Evans, and a few others, to get a chance to see what they can do. 0-2 pitch. And that's outside. 2-2 pitch. And lined out to left. And that is the end of the second inning. Nothing there for the Mariners early on. I mean, I don't know if this is going to be where we have to wait for the starter to go out and then we have to come back from behind. We are a very good 7th, 8th, and 9th inning team. But again, not exactly the start that we were hoping. And it's kind of funny, too, because I made 2 thumbnails, for this particular game. I had one with George Kirby on it, and that was the one I was going to use. But then I decided to go with Cal based off his 2 home runs that he had yesterday. Something told me that George wasn't going to be good today. It's just a little too early, and hopefully he gets better and doesn't give up, a whole lot more. Hopefully he only gives up 1 more run. Because, again, starting pitching, regardless if it's a good player or one of the back-end guys like Hancock, you want them to give up 3 runs or less. And, that will give us a chance to be able to compete and win. But already giving up 2 within the first 2 innings, not ideal. Now let's see who's up next here for the Nats in the top of the 3rd. Captain in the building, what's good? Nice job, brother. If you can help me out with the likes and the subs and the donos, all that would be greatly appreciated. Let's go to the top of the 3rd inning. Next up, right fielder Dalen Lyle. Batting second, 0 for 1, shortstop CJ Abrams. And batting third, the best player on the team, 0 for 1 with a K, but homered yesterday, my favorite player on the Nats, James Wood. Let's go Mariners. Tell him, Alec, I appreciate the help as well. If you and Captain want to help out with that, it'd be greatly appreciated. And I appreciate you very, very much. Captain with a 10er. Appreciate you. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks with a little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. We're at 15, 85 to go. Let me know what you want to do photo-wise, and I got you. Yeah, and when I saw the news that they sent Logan down, I thought, golly, really? But I think the reason that they did is they would have sent Hancock down, but he pitches tomorrow, and Evans just pitched. But, way to kind of give your, star, up-and-coming stud, a gut punch. Like, you literally had one of the best games out of any Mariner pitcher in 2025, went 8 innings. We haven't seen a pitcher do that since last year in 2024. Logan Gilbert did it, but it's a rare thing, to wheel and deal and to pitch that long with that kind of accuracy and dominance. The goggles are they got the aura and the swag. He definitely reminds me of like Brian Wu when we first brought him up, and then to tell him, hey, you did a great job. One of the best games of the year. And we ended up having a fantastic victory yesterday, blowing them out, 9-1. And they're like, well, but we're going to send you down. I mean, like, couldn't they have thought of anybody else that they could have sent down but him? But I guess that's the route that they're going. Fouled off. There from Lyle. And in play. And gets to first off a throwing error there. Come on now. We've had a lot of errors, by the infield lately. We got to clean that up. Next up is shortstop C.J. Abrams, and Lyle should have easily been out there. But again, what can you do? Just got to be able to hope that that is not a trend. Well, they did it because they brought up a relief pitcher that had Tommy John to help out our bullpen, Jackson Kowa. So he's been waiting all year to be able to play. And Abrams, we need a double play, and we get a double play. There we go. Throw to first, got him. There we go. Down goes C.J. Abrams after kind of a cheap throwing error, and a little fumble the bag there by Rowdy Tellez. But again, the defense makes up for it there. 2 away. Nice double play from the Mariner defense. Next up is left fielder James Wood, the best player on the team. First pitch from Kirby to Wood, low and away with the knuckle curve. 1 ball and no strikes from Kirby to Wood. And down goes James Wood. There we go. Again, no matter if it ends up being a punch out, ground out, pop up, we just got to be able to try to get some confidence for George Kirby, and the best way to get some confidence for him if he's a little shaky is run support. We haven't done anything yet, but hopefully we will. But nice double play there, and a nice out by James Wood. 2-0 Nats. Well, let's go to the bottom of the 3rd inning and see who's up next. But again, if we, if Emerson Hancock didn't have to pitch tomorrow, I imagine that maybe he would have been the one that they would have sent down. But, obviously we still have injuries to Bryce Miller, Logan Gilbert, and we'll have to kind of wait and see what, the lineup is going to look like. But, if I was handling the team, it would be normally Logan Gilbert. But I don't know. George Kirby ain't ready, so he might have to send him back down to AAA. I know they won't, but they probably should. But Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Brian Wu, Luis Castillo, Logan Evans. Those should be the 5. But again, if George Kirby ain't ready and then Bryce Miller is, then maybe we have to go Logan Gilbert, Brian Wu, Luis Castillo, Bryce Miller, and Logan Evans. Again, you have to make sure that, whoever is on the mound, they're healthy and they're ready mentally and physically. Great catch by Julio Rodriguez there on that last out by James Wood. Beautiful. I see you, Julio. No fly zone, baby. Next up for the Mariners here in the bottom of the 3rd, right fielder Leody Taveras. Batting second baseman Miles Mastrobuoni. And batting third baseman Ben Williamson. And remember, we also have 3 guys in AAA that are ready right now to replace Mitch Garver, Donovan Solano, and a Miles Mastrobuoni type, right? You got Cole Young, who can play shortstop or second base. Harry Ford could be the backup catcher instead of Mitch Garver, right? And then on top of that, you got Tyler Locklear, who's a baby Ty France, who ended up playing for us a little bit last year. That's going to be better than Donovan Solano. But, Garver at times will, make a hit and be clutch, but overall, could be replaced. Donovan Solano actually has been pretty good in the last 3 to 4 games, but could be replaced, the worst player on the team. And again, Miles Mastrobuoni ain't cutting it, and again, I don't really know why he's getting so much playing time. 0-1 pitch, in play, grounded out, and throw to first, 1 away. Down goes Leody Taveras. Next up, second baseman Miles Mastrobuoni. Someone needs to get the rally going, and hopefully we can get someone to drop a bunt down. Maybe Miles or Ben can do it and get us on base to get in runners in scoring position. First pitch from Williams to Mastrobuoni. Takes a strike looking on the line. High and away. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Takes a strike looking low and away with a sweeper. Behind the count now 0-2 from Williams to Mastrobuoni. Yeah, and again, I think, like I said, Bryce, normally is deserving and normally is better than Castillo, right? Normally, but, Luis is actually, playing like he did when we first brought him over. But Wu has been good. Castillo, normally, on the ranking level, he's normally the fifth guy. But this year, maybe he's fourth. And obviously injuries to Gilbert and Miller and Kirby is not ideal, but we're finding a way. And nice single there by Miles Mastrobuoni. Someone needs to step up. And even though, you are not very consistent, again, nice hustle there to first base. Miles Mastrobuoni safe. Next up, third baseman Ben Williamson. First pitch, high and inside with a four-seam fastball by Trevor Williams. 1-0 count. 5 likes to 30. Let's get there, baby. Let's get to 50. And we can still come back and win this game. It's just kind of a slow start. You can't expect to score 3 runs in the first inning and have Julio, get a 2-run jack every first inning and Cal to get a homer right after him. It was a nice, Mariner game for 2025. One of the most enjoyable, I think, that we've seen last night. But again, every game is going to be shaped up a little bit different. So. Bottom of the third inning, 2-0 Nats. Kirby still looking a little rusty. And again, if it was me, based on what I've seen so far, we'll see how the game progresses. But I would definitely send Kirby back down and then bring Logan up for him. Try to get George to play in AAA for the Tacoma Rainiers for maybe 1 to 4 more starts. See how he looks then, and then bring him back up. Because we've survived with him injured all year. Why are we forcing him to play if he's not ready? And obviously we're having the wait and see approach. But based on these first 2 starts, he ain't ready. Takes a strike looking low and inside at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike to Ben Williamson. 1-1 pitch, low and at the knees with the sinker this time around, 87 miles an hour by Williams. 2 balls and 1 strike with a runner at first, Miles Mastrobuoni, and 1 out. 2-0 national lead. Let's go. 2-1 pitch, high and inside with a 4-seam fastball. 3 balls and 1 strike from Williams to Williamson. Let's go, Big Ben. Now, I still would go with a shaky, and Mastrobuoni got caught stealing. Fucking A, Miles. God damn it. We can't have that happen. Jesus. But I think I would, I would rather have, someone that is on, rather than having to force, someone back. But, we'll see what Bryce Miller looks like as well. But, one thing is for sure, Miller and Kirby, and we'll see what Miller looks like when he comes back. But Miller did not look good this year. Big swing and a miss. Now counting is full to Ben Williamson. 3 balls and 2 strikes. We did have a runner at first until Miles got thrown out there. Got to be better, man. We got to be bunting more, and we can't be getting guys thrown out when we're trying to get runners in scoring position, especially to a team like the Nats. They're not as bad as the White Sox, but fucking A, man. Come on. 3-2 pitch, fouled off right down the middle by Ben Williamson, and we know that he can grind out at-bats, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pitches. Wild throw at home there, obviously on Miles Mastrobuoni as they're showing the replay. Can't believe that happened. Unbelievable. Pitch fouled off again on a 4-seam fastball right down the middle. Count still full. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs with nobody on. And this definitely feels like it's going to be a grinded out type of game. I mean, if the throw was on, he would have been safe. But just the simple fact that it was wide left actually played into the benefit of the Nats on that stolen bag attempt by Miles Mastrobuoni. So a little bit of luck, there by the Nats for the throw being shitty, but they were able to kind of get him on the, back end of the leg and the foot area, which normally would have not happened if the throw was on. Bottom of the third, 2-0 Mariners. I wish. 2-0 Nats. George Kirby looking a little rusty, but again, if he only gives up one more run, I think we'll be in business. Hopefully none, but, got to be realistic. And Big Ben gets a single to right. There we go. Ben starting to heat up again. I like that. And if Miles obviously didn't steal, we'd have runners at first and second for JP. Nice job by Big Ben. Next up, a guy that is so overdue for his 5th homer of the year, J.P. Crawford. Let's go, J.P. First pitch, fouled off, low, and inside with a sweeper, 78 miles an hour by Trevor Williams. 0-1 count. 2-5 record, ERA of 6.39. So, I don't expect this to be a pitching duel, but so far, Kirby is on that back end, not matching up to what we thought he would produce here today. But again, when you end up missing the first 50 games, again, you have to honestly understand that this might be a wash year for George Kirby. And I've already kind of come to terms with that, when you miss the first 50 games. So in play, and down goes J.P. Crawford, grounded out to second. And that's the end of the third inning. Almost the complete opposite, than what we saw yesterday. But again, I still feel confident we can come back and win. Yeah, I don't know what is more annoying is either the, base running errors, or the throwing errors, at second, third, short, and at first. Those, self-inflicted wounds, we cannot afford to have those, especially playing a team like this. But Logan Evans will be back in the rotation sooner than later because, again, I can't trust George Kirby. I don't know if I'm going to be able to trust Bryce Miller in 2025. Obviously, we know Emerson Hancock is kind of a liability, but if he's healthy and the bats are alive, it's crazy to say, but Emerson Hancock might be a better option now than George Kirby or Bryce Miller. Now, normally when those guys are healthy, it's a hell no, for Emerson Hancock. But, for now, it might actually be the better option. So that way we can actually, have a better guy until those guys get healthy enough. But, I'm not sure. Maybe it'll be just a wash year for George Kirby and Bryce Miller. But at least, we've already been able to play this much without those guys for the most part, and we still have been able to find ways to win. We're not the same team that can't hit. So ultimately, if pitching gets a little bit worse than years past, but the hitting is dramatically better, instead of being like the 30th ranked team in hitting and now we're top 3, we're going to find ways to be able to win. So let's go to the top of the 4th inning and see who's up next here for the Nats. Next up for the Nats, Nathaniel Lowe. First pitch to Nathaniel Lowe, fouled off, low and inside with a slider, 0-1 count. Yeah, I think George needs to go back to AAA for 1 to 4 games because obviously he's not ready. And again, we know that George is a top 20 player when he's healthy. But again, when you miss the first 50 plus games, again, you have to come to the realization that, this might be just a wash year. And Logan Evans is one of our best, and having him get sent down, for Jackson Kowa, a bullpen, relief pitcher. Again, obviously it would have been Emerson Hancock, but he pitches tomorrow. But I think, keeping Hancock and Evans in the starting 5 might actually be a smart move. I never thought I would say that about Hancock, but if Miller and Kirby are injured or not good, why are we going to play them? It's going to make it harder for us to win games, just playing guys based off name recognition and what they did last year and the year before that and the year before that. 0-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. Nice punch out there by Kirby. 1 away. Down goes Nathaniel Lowe. Nice job, George. Still haven't looked really that good so far, but we have to pray that you'll get better after every single start. Next up, catcher Keibert Ruiz, who had that off wild throw that still got Miles Mastrobuoni out. It's kind of like fantasy football and just like football in general. If you're basing things that happened in years past instead of looking at what's in front of you, it's a very dangerous game that you're playing. If you're going based off past reputation of a player or what you're actually seeing this particular year. And, you love to be able to give the loyalty, but the bottom line is if a guy isn't playing good and he's not ready and you got a young guy that is, you got to let the young guy go. I mean, Logan Evans deserves to be on this team this year. First pitch from Kirby to Ruiz. Takes a strike looking. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. In play. And lined out to center. Julio Rodriguez is there. 2 away. Next up for the Nats, Luis Garcia Jr., who hit 1 homer off of George Kirby earlier in the matchup. First pitch, takes a strike swinging, low and away. Kirby trying to bait him there, and it works. 0-1 count. You got to limit the damage that Luis Garcia Jr. is going to do here to George. 0-1 pitch, low and away with a splitter, 85 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike to Luis Garcia Jr. Yeah, absolutely. And I got some amazing Cal stats as well that I've been cooking up. So 1-1 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike from Kirby to Garcia Jr. But again, if we've been able to win without George, up to this point, it's not going to hurt to send him back down, because if we don't and we continue to have George, start and his ERA is going to be 6 to 12 runs, again, that's a lot of pressure on the hitters to get to 5 to 10 runs, in that particular start. And sometimes we're going to do it naturally. But again, there's also going to be games where he gives up a bunch of runs early. And if we're looking up at a 4-0 deficit or 5-0 deficit, we might not be able to come back every single time. So, I say keep Miller on the IL for as long as we need. And, based on what I've seen so far, he's starting to settle in. Obviously there were only 2-run jacks, 2 solo jacks, but still, doesn't look like he is ready just yet. Pitch fouled off. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Kirby to Garcia. 3-2 pitch, and that's a walk. And we know George is one of the league leaders on not walking guys. And when George is getting walks, there's an issue. Next up in the 6th hole, who homered right after Luis Garcia did on George Kirby there in the 2nd inning. You might remember him there on the Pirates. He's been kind of a journeyman, Josh Bell. No more homers for him. Let's go. First pitch, low and at the knees. Big swing and a miss by Josh Bell, 0-1 count. Yeah, I got a couple Ichiro rookie baubles. You got the upper deck one, the one that comes with the card. They've made like 3 variations of it, white, gray, and blue jersey. And obviously there'll be, probably some other manufacturers that make them as well. But I got a few Ichiro baubles. The ones that I like the most are the ones that the team gives away, like when you actually go to the games. 0-1 pitch. Low and away with that splitter. 1 ball and 1 strike from Kirby to Bell. 1-1 pitch. Fouled off. High and away with that splitter. 85 miles an hour by Kirby. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. 2-0 Nats lead. And in the 2nd inning, you had Luis Garcia Jr. homer, 404 feet to center. And then right after that, back-to-back, Josh Bell homered, 375 feet, 2-0 Nats. Almost eerily similar to Julio and Cal in the 1st inning yesterday, except that JP was on when Julio got up and it was 3-0. In play, and Bell singled to left. Runners now at 1st and 2nd with 2 outs. Nice little base knock there by Josh Bell. Now we need a nice force out here at 3rd or a punch out to center fielder Robert Hassel III. It happens, sometimes, some pitchers that will have an ERA of, 6 to 15, can look like a Cy Young candidate against the Mariners. And normally that was in years past, when we were the lowest, batting average as a team, typically like 180 to 220 and the number 1 strikeout team. But even in 2025 as a top 3 hitting team, we sometimes fall into these ruts where we start to look like the team like last year, but luckily it doesn't happen that often. But we still got a lot of game to go. We'll wait for this guy to get out, and then we'll start raking in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th where we excel. Just has to be that type of game, I think. First pitch, takes a strike swinging, low and away. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss, low and away again with the knuckle curve, back-to-back pitches. Behind in the count now, 0-2. We need a punch out here, George. 0-2 pitch, low and inside, knuckle curve again. 3 knuckle curves in a row by George. That's unusual. 1 ball and 2 strikes with runners at first and second and 2 outs. We can't afford to have them give up anything else here. Weather has been extremely hot, here in the Pacific Northwest, as you can see with my tan that I got today. Got to spend about an hour with Paisley outside at the local park, and definitely got some of that nice sun here in Oregon, which I've been waiting on. Pitch fouled off right down the middle. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Robert Hassel III. We haven't busted out the Trident all stream. That's why we haven't scored anything yet. And I got to get the Mariner Moose up on the board too. Normally it's a little early for the Moose, but we're going to need him today. Any type of good luck charm. Losing to the Nats is like losing to the White Sox. It's like, you should be able to beat this team, but sometimes, the baseball's hard. It's not the easiest sport to play. Let's go, baby. Get this done. I'm very confident we can get a comeback from behind victory in the 7th, 8th, and 9th if need be. Unless we get something going in the bottom of the 4th, 5th, and 6th. Pitch fouled off. 1 ball and 2 strikes with runners at first and second and 2 outs. 2-0 Nationals. Come on, baby. Yeah, we might have to start throwing up a bunch of the Julios and the Cal photos too for good luck as well. Pitch is high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes with runners at first and second and 2 outs. Come on, George. We can't have another disaster start out of you. But luckily our pitching is so deep. We might be able to have a 6-man rotation at some point if they decide to go that route. But again, we just have to pray that Logan Gilbert, normally our number 1 pitcher on the team, he doesn't look like Bryce Miller and George Kirby this year. We cannot afford for Logan Gilbert to go down the shitter, because if Logan Gilbert ends up looking like those two, we're not going to be able to make a deep run. And Hassel gets a single to left, and now you got bases loaded. You might have to pull him. Not looking good, George. The complete opposite than what we saw yesterday out of this guy. He's got the aura. He's got the vibe. Logan Evans, you actually might be the second best pitcher on the Mariners right now. Brian Wu is 1, but I think Logan Evans is 2. I think I like Logan more than Castillo, and Castillo has been pretty good, but I like Logan more. I think right now Logan Evans is the new Brian Wu. And obviously we saw Brian come in as the 5th best pitcher, in the rotation, but, he didn't have as many starts as some of the other guys. But at the end of the season, Brian Wu was our best pitcher. So it's nice to be able to see guys emerge, but you don't like to see your normal guys. And there it is. There it is. Back, and a double for Tenna, and now we're down 5-0. Send George Kirby to AAA. You should have pulled him when he had bases loaded, like I said. Terrible. George, you ain't it, my guy. This is going to be a wasted season for you. Just go to AAA, and again, you're a liability. You're not an asset to this team. You are not ready. And again, we can win without you. We've already proven that we can win without you. Now, you still deserve to be on the team, at some point when you're ready, but not right now. Now we're down fucking 5-0. Thanks a lot, George. You fucked it all up for us again. And again, there's a reason why I had 2 thumbnails made and I didn't use the George Kirby one, because I wasn't very confident on what I was going to get out of him today. And my worst nightmare is coming true. First pitch, takes a strike looking to Lyle. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Dalen Lyle. But again, send him down, bring Logan Evans back up, and have him pitch 1 to 4 games on the Tacoma Rainiers, and then go from there. And even if he pitches 1 to 4 games, he still might not be ready. Again, you missed 50 fucking games when they said it was just quote unquote shoulder inflammation. That was a lie. There was obviously more than just shoulder inflammation. It happened in spring training, and luckily it wasn't Tommy John, but very, very disappointing, here. And again, can we come back from 5-0? Yeah, we can, but it's going to be really tough unless the bats really come alive from Julio and Cal, as well as Polo and a few others. Pitch is high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Kirby to Lyle. And again, I'm going to call a spade a spade. I love George Kirby as much as any of you guys. But again, I'm not going to defend a guy, just because he's on the Mariners. Again, a lot of people do that in the NFL and, for their favorite teams and their favorite players. They try to defend them to the death when they're good, bad, or indifferent. And again, you have to be able to call a spade, even though it hurts, knowing that that's our guy, but again, when a guy isn't good, he's not, and again, we got guys like Logan Evans that just got sent down who might actually be the best pitcher, not named Brian Wu this year. And to me, he is. I think right now, obviously when Logan Gilbert comes back, he'll be in that running. So it'll be Brian Wu 1, Logan Gilbert 2, but I think Logan Evans is 3, then Castillo, and then just a clusterfuck of, average to bad from Emerson Hancock, Bryce Miller, George Kirby, and anybody else. So, and Lyle with a walk. Golly. George isn't right when he's walking guys, when he was one of the best guys in MLB in his career by not walking. He's giving up homers. He's walking guys. This is not the George that I know. Next up, 0 for 2 is CJ Abrams. But, even though everything looks terrible right now, again, we have to make sure it doesn't get above 5. 5 is where we max out the comeback. If it ends up being 6 or more, we're fucked. But if it ends up being 5 or less, we can still come back. Now we just got to chip away. Get it to 5-1, then 5-2. Hopefully we have a good inning where we score 1 to 3 runs, and hopefully we can get in position to be down a run or 2 by the 8th or the 9th inning. We have to be able to get the game to 5-3, somewhere around that 7th or 8th inning, hopefully. And again, we got to pray that they don't score any more. Top of the 4th inning with 2 outs, CJ Abrams in the box. I think that they decided to bring him back because he already played, quite a few games for the Tacoma Rainiers, 3-4 games. And, it's not like they just played him one rehab start and came in. He already missed 50 plus games. So they were thinking, okay, the Astros are catching up, and, we went on that road trip and we didn't look very good. They got a little desperate, and whatnot. And in play, fielder's choice. And we finally get out of the inning, but not after a terrible outing by George Kirby. But again, the writing was kind of on the wall, for George. So. Send him back to AAA. Like I said, it's kind of crazy to think it could be Logan Gilbert, Brian Wu, Luis Castillo, Logan Evans, and Emerson Hancock. But again, if Logan Evans and Emerson Hancock give us a better chance than an injured Bryce Miller and an off George Kirby that's injured or not ready, again, it doesn't really sound like a correct thing to say, based on how those guys have played in years past. But in 2025, those guys aren't good. And again, they still are going to be on the team at some point, but we have to go with the hot hand. That's facts. Let's go to the bottom of the 4th inning, and we need to try to get a run in the next 2. And somewhere here in the 4th or the 5th, we need to try to get 1 run, and again, just go from there, chip away. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 1, DHing Jorge Polanco. We need back-to-back hits for an RBI situation, or we need some homers. And I'm not sure if this is going to be a home run game until the starter goes out. Batting second on deck, center fielder who's been extremely hot in May, Julio Rodriguez. And batting third, 0 for 1, catcher, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Let's go, Cal. Well, Steven, you're obviously not a real fan because we have come back from 5-0 many, many times. We did it against the Astros early in the year when we were down 5-0 and we scored 7 runs in the last 2 innings and we won 7-6. So I'm not sure if you're a fair weather fan or you only watch the games when we're winning, but we can come back from 5-0. Now, if it was last year, we wouldn't be able to come back. If you have a team batting average of 180 to 220 and you're the number 1 strikeout team in baseball, but if you have checked, the stats recently, we're not that team anymore. We're a top 3 hitting team in baseball. So at any given point, we can score 1 to 5 runs in any given inning. Obviously it doesn't look good, and it feels like it's going to be an L, depending on who comes in for our bullpen. If they just wave the white flag and we bring in shitty bullpen players, for our staff, and then it's going to get worse and worse and worse, and then we won't come back. But if the bullpen ends up being decent after Kirby, and then the bats come alive, yeah, we can come back. And again, it's not going to be every time we're going to come back from 5-0, but we have proven in 2025 that is a number that we can come back from. Facts. Do your homework, my guy. Exactly. Again, I've been following this team for 40 plus years, probably longer than you've been fucking alive. So, sometimes games are going to go the way that they did yesterday. Super entertaining, amazing pitching from Logan Evans, going 8 innings. We haven't had a pitcher do that since Logan Gilbert in 2024. The bats were alive. Julio with a 2-run jack, Cal with a solo dinger. And again, we just have to chip away. And Polo flies out to left, and he is at 1 away. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 1, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. But I will say this, 5 is typically the number where we cap off and cap out. If it ends up being higher than that, then, it's going to be a lot tougher. But again, the Mariners have been able to put up, 6 to 10 runs in that 9 consecutive series win, span for about a month and a half. We were scoring 6 to 10 runs. So to act like this is impossible is ridiculous. Again, this is, the Nationals. We're not playing the fucking Yankees right now or the Dodgers. In play, and Julio flies out to right, 2 away. Next up, catcher, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. First pitch, low and away, 1-0 count. Game's not over until it's over. And remember, the first 6 innings is the first part of the game, and the last 3 innings is the second part. A lot can change when you got a shitty bullpen pitcher that can't hit the zone, that starts walking guys, or having some wild pitches or hitting some guys, and you can really come back very quickly. With 1 or 2 bad bullpen, performances, you can make up 5 runs sometimes in 1 inning. Pitch fouled off by big dumper Cal Raleigh, low and away with the 4-seam fastball by Williams. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. 5-0, Nats lead. Man, you're making people in the chat dumber, my guy. We need to be able to educate people and make people smarter, not make people dumber. Come on, guy. Bottom of the 4th inning, 5-0 Nats. Williams on the mound, big dumper in the box. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 2 outs and nobody on. Come on, baby. Let's go. Pitches low and away with that changeup. Count now is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, nobody on. Bottom of the 4th, 5-0 Nats. Come on, Mariners. Have faith. we just have to be happy that, even though Emerson Hancock isn't great, if he's healthy and we get the run support, we can win with him. But again, if you got guys that are physically and mentally broken, like Kirby and Miller, at least at this point, we have to be thankful we got a Logan Evans who's like the new Brian Wu. And even though Hancock is maybe our worst, again, if he, can at least give up 3 runs or less and the bats come alive, we're going to have a better chance with him on the mound than we are, with a injured, Bryce Miller or an off George Kirby. That's facts. It's kind of a crazy thing to say, but again, George ain't ready, and Bryce has not looked good this year either. And again, Emerson Hancock gave up 6 runs in his first start and then got sent down to AAA. His ERA was fucking 81. So we already know how terrible Emerson has been at the beginning of the year, but he's been getting better as the year has gone on. So it's all about trust. Like, who do you trust? What's the eye test look like? And even though Hancock probably, doesn't deserve normally, to be in the rotation, but based on injuries, the 3 of our top 5, sometimes you got to go with a guy that, yeah, he is going to be shaky from times and he will fuck up from time to time, but he also will step up once in a while. And, when he does, typically the bats will come alive as well. Let's go to the top of the 5th inning and see who's up next here for the Nats. Next up for the Nationals, 0 for 2 with a K, left fielder James Wood. Batting second, 0 for 2 with 2 Ks, first baseman Nathaniel Lowe. And batting third, 0 for 2, catcher Keibert Ruiz. Let's go Mariners. And again, if our bullpen was better, we could actually have the luxury of pulling guys early when we see the momentum start to shift to the other team, right? When you start to see a guy, walk and, bases are loaded and things are not going good, or you got runners at first and second with no outs, or second and third with no outs. And again, normally, if you have the depth in the bullpen, you can pull a guy in the 3rd, 4th inning before, disaster happens. But again, when your bullpen sucks, like the Mariners does, even though we have a couple guys that are typically reliable, but sometimes, have been shaky. Gabe Spire, Legumina, sometimes good, but they fucked up a couple times too, right? We like Matt Brash, but he's coming off Tommy John. Really, the only guy we trust is Andres Munoz, with an ERA of 0. Other than that, there's not really anybody that we can say that we fully trust every single time that they come up, on the bump. And that's why they sent Logan Evans down to bring Kolar, but, we'll see where it goes. And there's another one. Back. See ya. Why is George in the game? Because we don't have a fucking bullpen. And another home run there by the best player on the team, James Wood. And if this isn't, a 100%, clarification that George Kirby is not fucking ready, there it is. Terrible. Next up, Nathaniel Lowe, after hitting a home run yesterday, as I told you, he was the best player, hits another one here today. Not surprised. I love James Wood, but I don't like him hitting homers against us. Next up is Nathaniel Lowe, and now we're down 6-0. First pitch, high and away, big swing and a miss by Lowe, 0-1 count. Oh, George, I had a feeling. Like I said, I made 2 thumbnails. I made one with George and James Wood, and I made the other one with Cal Raleigh, and I decided to go with Cal. I had a bad feeling in my stomach that, it wasn't going to be a good start again for George. And sometimes you wish to be wrong when you have like ESP moments or predictions, and gosh, I wish I was wrong today. But George ain't ready. In play, and Lowe flies out to Julio Rodriguez, no fly zone, 1 away. 4 more likes to 40. Let's get there, baby. The goal is 50. We're at 36, 14 more. And I still think we can have a rally. We might not come back and win, but we could still get to 3 to 5 runs, and depending on if we have that monster inning within the next 2 innings, where we get 1 to 4 runs, we'll see, But again, it's definitely, the percentage went down quite a bit from being down 5-0 to now 6-0. But not only that, Kirby is still in the fucking game. It's like, it's one thing if we would have pulled him and brought someone else in, but the simple fact that they're just going to try to get him to pitch all the way to the 6th, hell, at that point, if that's the case, we might be down 10-0 by that point, based on how George is pitching. Sometimes you got to go with the bullpen, even when the bullpen stinks. Can it get any worse than this? That's what you have to consider. The bullpen is unreliable, besides Andres Munoz, the closer. But with that being said, is it going to be as bad as a guy that looks like this, like George Kirby? And yeah, they might give up a run here and there, but it's not going to be 6. Next up is Keibert Ruiz. Pitch fouled off. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 1 out from Kirby to Ruiz. And, it sucks to have 3 of our top 5 guys that we normally love and, we cherish, with Gilbert, Kirby, and Miller injured. But, I really think that this is going to be an off-washed year for George. I don't think he'll be able to be good this year. I think the injury, and the confidence, he's fucked, and we just have to wait till George next year. Hopefully it'll get slightly better, as the year goes on. But I still think he's going to be giving up, 3 to 5 runs almost every start. I don't think you're going to get that electric George Kirby that we're used to seeing until he ends up getting fully healthy and he gets his mentals and his physical body right next year. But at least we got Logan Evans to take his spot, so I'm not concerned. But if we didn't have Logan Evans, I would be very concerned. First pitch to Luis Garcia Jr. hit homered on Kirby in the second. 1-0 count. No, you're good, Alec. 1-0 pitch. Fouled off low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Luis Garcia Jr. Let's go, baby. I still got faith. Again, even if we don't come back and win, the more runs that we score today will help us go into tomorrow when we're on FS1 when it's a global broadcast. So again, we want to make sure we have as much momentum as possible, even if we don't come back and win. Even if we could get it to 4 to 5 runs, that'll be a good, solid. Obviously, you want to win, but if we end up losing, let's say, 8-5 or 7-5, but we actually get to 5 runs, that will carry over into tomorrow to help us win. Facts. You just don't want to get fucking shut out 6-0, 7-0, 9-0, or have the same thing happen to, them yesterday where we lose like 9-1. And right now we're pacing for a 9-1 loss. And unless the bats and the urgency starts to get better. But someone's got to have to start the rally. We need bunting. We need better base running. We need someone to be able to hold down the fort, to get that first run on the board. Next up, 0 for 1, left fielder Randy Arozarena. Batting second, first baseman 0 for 1, Rowdy Tellez. And batting third, 0 for 1, right fielder Leody Taveras. And again, we have farm options. So if the hitting starts to go down, then, we're not scoring 6 to 10 runs for a month and a half. If we're scoring more like 1 to 3, then that should be the time where we bring up Tyler Locklear, Cole Young, and Harry Ford to replace Mitch Garver, Donovan Solano, and Miles Mastroboni. But of course, the organization won't do that because of the payroll. It's all about politics and, obviously those guys that have the experience. But again, you want to make sure you're putting across the best players that give you the best chance to win today. And again, I really honestly feel that those 3 AAA players would give you more than Mastroboni, Solano, and Garver, which they barely give you anything, if we're really being honest. Every once in a while, they'll make some plays, but I think you can get more production offensively and defensively from 3 AAA players. Again, we have the #1 farm system in MLB. Let's fucking use it. No, but we can't because our bullpen sucks. Again, if the bullpen was better, and the manager understood that, yeah, he would have pulled them. But you have to also understand it's not, the manager is oblivious and he's an idiot. He understands that George should have been pulled, but again, our bullpen isn't really trustworthy. So again, until the bullpen improves, then again, you're going to try to stretch guys as long as you can. And sometimes that's the price that you pay instead of pulling a guy in the 4th and the 5th, and you just try to make every starter go 6 innings regardless of the result, whether they're good, bad, or not, so, obviously Dan Wilson, he's not like Scott Service, he understands that, that at that moment, that was probably a time that they should have considered pulling. But again, the bullpen sometimes is equally bad or even worse.
And Dan Wilson is a good manager. He should be the manager of the American League, so no one's getting fired there, my guy. Takes a strike looking. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Randy Arozarena. Dan Wilson should be the manager of the American League in the All-Star game, and then hopefully we'll have Julio, Cal, Andres Munoz all in the All-Star game, as well as Brian Wu. And Randy Arozarena strikes out swinging. 1 away. Appreciate you. Monkey Kung Fu, thank you so much for your first dono to the channel. Let me know if there's anything you want to do photo-wise. I got you. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks, with a little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. Monkey, he's got it. Appreciate you, my guy. First pitch to Rowdy Tellez. Takes a strike looking. 0-1 count. And again, if we can get to 4 to 5 runs, that's going to give us a much better chance of winning tomorrow. You know, again, you always have to look at every single piece of effort out of the players. Now, if you're a casual fan, you know, or a bandwagon fan, or just someone that just bets, you know, and that's it, you know, of course, a lot of people turn the game off when they see 6-0, you know, but this is my full-time job. I've been following this team for 40 years, since I was 3. So again, you know, I have to watch from beginning to end, and it's all about effort as Rowdy Tellez grounds out to the pitcher, 2 away. You know, you want to see who actually is trying on the team when you're in a bad situation. And that really shows, you know, who has good character, who has good effort, and who's giving up, you know. And again, if we can have enough guys, you know, focused on the right thing, there could be a little bit of a rally. Like the chance of us coming back in this game and winning, being real, it's probably like 5% or less, you know. But again, we have been in this situation before and come back. But again, we definitely need the bats to come alive very, very soon. Pitch is low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Williams to Tavares. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support. Monkey Kung Fu, my boy. And you got to think, you know, no Dylan Moore in the lineup, you know, no Leo Rivas in the lineup, you know, again, sometimes you got to mix things up, and we'll see who comes in to pinch hit as well. And it also doesn't help that a lot of guys have cooled off after we ended up winning 9 consecutive series. Takes a strike looking. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 2 outs and nobody on. Williams is pitching a magnificent game, just like we had with Logan Evans yesterday. All the run support, and not looking like a guy that's got an ERA of 6+. He's got a 2-5 record, but Trevor Williams is looking like he's got a 5-2 record and 6.39. He looks like he's got an ERA of 3.39. And again, the bats just have not been able to come to life just yet. You know, but again, Polo has cooled off, right, which hasn't helped us, right? You know, Julio and Cal have been great. Randy has cooled off. Randy really hasn't been that good all year, if we're really being honest. You know, he can get on base with walks and get plunked, you know, but the bat specifically and his hustle in left field, not the greatest. And again, you know, Rowdy Tellez and Tavares, Masterboni, Garver, Solano. Let's be real. Like, you know, Ben Williamson cooled off, but it started to heat up again. But we had maybe 5 or 6 guys out of 9 that were hot in that 9 consecutive series win streak. Now we only have maybe like 2 guys, you know, with Julio and Cal, and then maybe with JP or Ben Williamson adding another. And Tavares lines out to left, and that's the end of the inning. So again, a big difference, you know, when pitching is great, you're getting 6 to 10 runs a game. You got 5 to 6 guys out of 9 that are raking at the same time. And you got to think, when the Mariners were bad, you know, in 2023, 2024, I mean, not really bad. I mean, we only missed the playoffs by like a game or 2. But, you know, 180 to 220 team batting average, which is terrible. Number 1 strikeout team. We're not that team anymore, right? But again, you know, something needs to change. And again, whether it be batting order, you know, moving guys around, shuffling guys around, and mixing it up instead of just sticking with the same formula. You know, you keep doing the same shit, expecting a different result is insanity. So again, I know we got JP leading off, but maybe we need to switch things around and maybe have Julio lead off for a game and see how it goes, or put Julio in the 2-hole, you know, kind of flip things around. Maybe Leo Rivas or JP, you know, normally, you know, you got Leo at the 9, maybe have Leo lead off, JP at the 2, Julio at the 3. You got to make subtle changes, you know, especially when you hit a wall. And now Jackson Kowa is coming into the game, and this is the guy that we ended up replacing Logan Evans. So let's see how good this guy is. And of course, we already know that, you know, George Kirby should be sent down after this game. Logan Evans comes back up, and he already pitched, so it's not like he missed his start or anything. But we'll find out how good Jackson Kowa is, because obviously they ended up sending down, Logan Evans. They could literally have sent anybody else down. You pitch 8 innings, you have one of the best games in 2025 for the Mariners, and then they hit him with a fucking gut punch and say, hey, you played great, you're awesome, you're 3-1, you got a very low ERA under 3, you look like the best pitcher on the team besides Brian Wu right now and Logan Gilbert, but we're going to send you down for this relief guy because we need help. But I'm not confident that this guy's going to be good. You've had Tommy John like Brash, and I don't think he'll be like Matt Brash. I think there's probably a better chance that he fucks up and does well. Not trying to be a hater. I just, I don't really believe in this guy. So I hope that he does better than I think he's going to do, but I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up being kind of ass, especially if this is his first game in 2025 and coming off Tommy John. So, he ain't Matt Brash, if you feel me. Top of the 6th inning, first pitch to Josh Bell, low and at the knees, 1-0 count. One-0 pitch, fouls that one off high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Josh Bell. And again, a lot of the times where, we want to stop the bleeding before we bleed out. Normally, Dan Wilson may consider it. He may not pull the trigger. But again, when you don't have a good bullpen, sometimes you have to stick with the starters longer than you like. And unfortunately, it comes back to bite you when you do that. And Bell popped out to third. Ben Williamson is there, 1 away. I disagree. We will not take that slander. First pitch, high and away, takes a strike looking for the Robert Hassel III, 0-1 count. Judah in the building, what's good? Comparing us to the Diamondbacks, get the fuck out of here. We're winning the fucking division. You can definitely tell the people that watch and the people that don't, We want to make sure we're educating people, not making people dumber with bad opinions or bad facts. 1 ball and 1 strike from Kowa to Hassel the third, there the center fielder. 1-1 pitch, fouled off, high and inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Kowa to Hassel the third. Nice job, Captain. I told you guys are going to win it all. SGA for MVP. I just initially thought that the Celtics would be the team that you would beat, but again, too many threes, not good coaching. And then now it'll end up being the Knicks or the Pacers. But, even if you combine the Knicks and the Pacers, you still wouldn't win. OKC's winning the championship, my guy. You know that. Pitches outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Kowar to Hassel the third. And Hassel the third strikes out swinging, 1 away. There we go. Well, at least we're getting something here out of the pen from Kowa, making his first start in 2025, coming off Tommy John. All right, next up for the Nats, up 6-0, Jose Tena. Now, if we don't give up any more runs for the rest of the game, and we can find a way to at least get that first run this inning, and we can just chip away, we might be able to get to 3-4 runs before the game is over, unless we have that magical inning where we get like 3 or 4 in a single inning. But, it definitely feels like we're going to lose this game being in a 6-0 hole. But again, all it takes is 1 inning to have a little bit of life. If we can get the score to be 6-4, by the 8th or the 9th, we'll have a chance, but that's a big if, especially when the bats have not been very active today. Pitch is high and away. The Tena, 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Pitch fouled off, low and away. Count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes to Tena. Come on, baby, let's go. Kowa. And hopefully he'll end up being good for the bullpen. So that way, if we end up having a situation like George again, that we can actually bring in a guy early, like in the 4th or 5th inning, instead of just trying to stretch every motherfucker to the 6th, regardless if they're doing good or bad, you know? Pitch fouled off with that curveball. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Kowar to Tenna. 1-2 pitch in play. And a double for Tenna to right. Nice hit there by Jose. Next up, right fielder 0 for 1 with a base on ball, Dalen Lyle. First pitch, 5 feet off the plate to Lyle by Kowar, 1-0 count, 4-seam fastball. Again, he's got good velocity, 98 miles an hour, but it doesn't mean anything if you're not actually hitting the strike zone. In play and flied out to left, and the damage is done, and we're down 6-0, which is embarrassing to a team like the Nats, and they're not as bad as the Colorado Rockies or anything like that. They're 24-30, but still, this is definitely a winnable game. At least we thought, if George would have, given up 3 runs or less, but he definitely. I don't even want to look at his ERA and what it is now. His ERA was 12 coming into the game. His ERA now, is it still 12? Should be higher, you would think. But it looks like it went down. I don't know how it goes down from 12. Now it's at 11.42. I mean, he gave up 7 hits, 6 runs, only had 4 Ks. And I figured, 5, 6 Ks, 4 to 6 Ks, somewhere in there. But you'd think that the ERA would go up more than that, but apparently not. But still, not good. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 6th inning and let's get our first run. We don't have to be greedy and say, oh, we're going to score 4 runs this inning. Let's just baby steps, chip away, okay? And once we get that first run, then we'll start shooting for 1 to 2 runs the rest of the way. Next up, shortstop, 0 for 2, J.P. Crawford. Batting second, DHing, Jorge Polanco, 0 for 2. You cooled off, my guy. Where the hell is that bat? We need that bat to come alive. And batting third, 0 for 2, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. And if I'm JP, I drop the bunt down right here. You have to find ways to get on base. You have to find ways to be able to, fool the opponent. And again, how many teams practice bunting defensively? None. And that's why so many people get on base, because no one practices it. Every time a bunt gets dropped down, every single player, the second baseman, the shortstop, the first baseman, the pitcher, the third baseman, they run off, with like they're a chicken with their head cut off. They don't know what to do, right? And they end up making a wild throw to first, more times than not. And you can get a single or a double, just out of a bunt. So I don't really understand why teams don't do it more. But again, obviously you don't want to get hit on the wrist, while you're attempting a bunt. But if you have good bat placement, that won't be a problem. All right. I guess Miles Mastroboni is up next. I thought it was going to be JP, but obviously you can't trust the social media. Next up, second baseman Miles Mastroboni. First pitch, low and away. Takes a strike looking, should have been called ball, called strike, 0-1 count. And we need Williams to get the fuck out of the game so that way we can start raking. 1-0 pitch, or 0-1 pitch, low and away with the sweeper. That one could have been called strike, but that one's called ball, makeup call. 1 ball and 1 strike from Williams to Mastroboni. But at least on the bright side, at least we're not striking out 10 to 20 times a game like we did in the past. There's nothing more frustrating than striking out over and over and over again when it's a bad pitcher or a pitcher that's got a shitty record with a high ERA. It just makes you look even worse. And that was what the Mariners did for the last 4 years, coming into this year, where we turned it around with Edgar and, obviously with Seitzer and a few of the other guys, Ichiro, helping those guys out. So, but a night and day difference from Logan Evans and George Kirby. Pitch fouled off. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Williams to Mastroboni. 2-2 pitch in play. Go, 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 go. Safe. Nice double by Miles Masterboni. Actually having himself a decent game here. Nice job, Miles, especially when we could have used Dylan Moore instead. Or Leo Rivas, for that matter. All right, next up is Ben Williamson. First pitch, low and away with a sweeper by Williams, 1-0 count. Here we go. Maybe this will be the inning where we get one or two runs, and again, get 1 or 2 runs here, and then you got to get 1 or 2 in the 7th, 1 or 2 in the 8th, 1 or 2 in the 9th. I mean, that's really the strategy that you have to go. And obviously, once Williams goes out, if their bullpen pitcher comes in and is bad, we might be able to make up the difference in an inning or two, but that's a big what if. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking on the line, tries to jam the hitter at the hips. 4-seam fastball, 1 ball and 1 strike from Williams to Williamson. In play. There we go. Flied out to right. Masterboni tags up and goes to third. Would have been nice if Ben would have been able to drop a single down, but we'll take moving the runner over. All right, here we go, JP. I wish Julio was batting second, Polo third, because Polo has definitely cooled off, but JP can knock him in. First pitch to JP Crawford, takes a strike looking, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Another 4-seam fastball right down the middle, behind the count now 0-2. But I don't agree with that either, though. I don't think that guys are not talented enough to bunt. A lot of guys can bunt, they just choose not to do it. Bunting definitely is an art, but to act like there's so many players in MLB that can't do it is insane. That's not true. Because if the thing is, it was so, such a hard thing to do, then how come most people, when they bunt, and if it's in play, they get on base? So if it was such a hard thing to do, then how come they're safe most of the time when they do it? So again, if it was one of those things that really took, so much skill that only a couple people could do it in the entire league, then no one would be getting safe off bunts ever. Think about it. Look at Masterboni. Pitches high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at third and 1 out. 6-0 Nats. We need 1 run this inning. Just 1. Stop the bleeding. And JP strikes out swinging. 2 away. Fuck. And again, Polo has been so fucking ice cold. I really wish it was Julio in the 2-hole. So we'll see if Polo can come up with some magic. And, in our 9 consecutive series, streak, Polo was a home run master. But, since then, after the streak ended, that bat has really cooled off. First pitch, takes a strike swinging low and away from Polo. 0-1 count. I mean, getting a 2-run jack out of Polo here would be awesome. That would give us a little bit of life. But again, he's really cooled off. 0-1 pitch. Low and away with a sweeper. 1 ball and 1 strike from Williams to Polo. Bottom of the 6th inning, down 6-0. And again, not a whole lot of faith with Polo. And down goes Jorge Polanco, man. Brutal. We needed Julio to be in that 2-hole in that situation. Maybe move Polo down in the lineup. I know he's the DH, but since he's been so bad, after that consecutive series win streak ended, I would move Polo probably to the 5, 6, 7 hole, somewhere in there, either in between Randy and Rowdy or in between Rowdy and Leote, but he needs to be further down in the lineup, and you need to be able to have, guys that are better higher in the lineup, even putting Ben Williamson higher in the lineup, JP and Ben, Julio, Cal, but I think JP at the 1 and Julio at the 2, Cal at the 3. I think that gives us the best chance to win. And then leaving Ben at the 9, and then you can move around and shuffle all the other guys around. But I think Ben at the 9, JP at the 1, Julio at the 2, Cal at the 3. I think that gives us the best chance to win, but, that's me, End of the 6th inning. Let's go to the top of the 7th. We're only down 6. Next up for the Nats. And they're bringing Castano in the game. I think they've waving the white flag already. They're just bringing in, new guys, and they've already given up in this game, at least pitching-wise. Shortstop, C.J. Abrams, 0 for 3. On deck, left fielder with a homer early in the game, as well as yesterday as well, James Wood. And batting third, first baseman, Nathaniel Lowe. All right, let's go to the top of the 7th inning. Now we're, getting down to the nitty gritty. So we need 2 runs in the 7th, 2 runs in the 8th, 2 runs in the 9th, and that's just a tie. Now, will we get that? Probably not. But again, if we can at least get to 3 to 4 runs before the game ends, that'll help. In play on the first pitch, Abrams lines out to center. Julio's there, 1 away. Down goes CJ. Next up is left fielder James Wood. 1 for 3 with a run, RBI, and a K. Limit the damage here. Top of the 7th inning, 6-0 Nationals. First pitch from Castano to Wood. Getting an opportunity to play here, just like Kowa. Takes a strike looking right down the middle. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Low and away with the changeup. 1 ball and 1 strike from Castano to Wood. One pitch, fouled off right down the middle. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Castano to Wood. Castano making his debut as well. So it kind of seems like they've, kind of given up in this game, at least pitching-wise. I know the bats haven't given up, but when you end up having a terrible start out of George Kirby, and then you go with 2 guys that haven't even played in 2025, you're not really giving the fans a whole lot of confidence, but, we'll see. If we can keep it at 6, it's still going to be a very, very difficult thing to even get a couple runs, it seems like. But, once starting pitching goes out, it could be a new ball game. We'll see. Hopefully their bullpen has some problems. Pitches outside. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with 1 out and nobody on. Velas Castano on the mound. James Wood in the box. And that's a walk. James Wood to first. Next up, first baseman Nathaniel Lowe. I know. You got 2 guys making their debut in the pen and, shaking off Cal, not ideal. It's like just because George Kirby fucked up, everyone thinks that, they're running the show. Cal runs the fucking show. Like, people don't realize we wouldn't even have an above 500 record if we didn't have Cal Raleigh. We'd probably be 3rd in the division or worse. So, first pitch inside at the knees, 1-0 count. Top of the 7th, runner at first with 1 out. We need a double play right up the middle to JP. Throw to Rowdy to end the inning. 1-0 pitch, fouled off, high and away. Tries to paint that corner. 1 ball and 1 strike with a runner at first and 1 out. We just need a slow dribbler here by Nathaniel Lowe to get us out of this inning. And then we need to score 2 runs in the 7th, 2 runs in the 8th, 2 runs in the 9th. And then we have to try to score 1 in the 10th to win 7-6. That would be like the most crazy comeback. But again, we have come back from 5 runs, or more a couple times. And Wood stole second. But it kind of feels right now that, they've already waving the white flag based on these 2 guys coming in after Kirby. Like, you would hope that you would bring in guys that were better, like bring guys in when you're ahead, not when you're down, when we're trying to come back. What's the logic in that? Oh, we're down 6-0. Let's play 2 guys that haven't even fucking played in 2025. You want to play them when we're ahead 6-0. So if they fuck up, we're still going to win. Not if they fuck up and then we end up being down 12-0. Come on, Dan Wilson. Takes a strike looking. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Nathaniel Lowe. We're going to win tomorrow. But definitely a missed opportunity for a potential sweep, if we were able to get things going here today. But one thing is for sure, George Kirby needs to be sent down to AAA. No ifs, ands, or buts. And he needs to stay down there for 1 to 4 games. And then even then, he still might not be ready. Pitch fouled off. Count remains full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at second and 1 out. And I know our bullpen needs help, but I'm not sure if Kowar and, Castano are going to be the answer. Should have never spent the money on Donovan Solano and Miles Mastroboni and actually got some starting pitching and signed those guys, or got some really solid relief pitchers from other teams. Like, why don't teams build a team that way? Especially when you got the number 1 farm system. We got plenty of guys that can play infield and outfield. We need bullpen. Now you got runners at first and second with 1 out. Next up is Keibert Ruiz. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. We're trying to hit 50 likes before the stream ends. And obviously 100 in the donos on every single stream. And we're at 65 to go on the dono train. And I'm not really sure where we're at on the likes, but Captain says we're 2 away from 40. So we only need 12 more to get to the goal. We can't get shut out by this team, and I don't think we will. But unfortunately, we may only put up 1 or 2 runs unless we end up getting extremely lucky. But, if we put up 1 or 2 runs, how many are they going to put up? Depending on who they have pitching, that'll determine that. 2 away. Now you got runners on the corners at first and third. Next up for the Nats, second baseman who homered in the 2nd inning, Luis Garcia Jr. Blas Castano, a guy that we just called up a few days back, making his 2025 debut, just like Jackson Kowar making his 2025 debut from Tommy John. So he went from George Kirby, terrible, to 2 guys that haven't even played. It's like, they pretty much have just given up, but hopefully the bats will say otherwise. In play, and Garcia Jr. grounds out to second, and we get out of the inning. All right, all we need to do is get 2 runs here in the 7th, 2 runs in the 8th, 2 runs in the 9th. And again, hopefully they move Polo down in the lineup. He does not deserve to be batting in the first 5 spots in the order, or at least in the top 4 spots. He needs to be in the 5, 6, 7 hole. He's cooled off. He's going to end up being a liability in our lineup, and it's not like he can play defense. He can't play second or third. He's got a noodle arm. So, the whole point of having Polo at DH is he could hit, but now he can't hit. So we got to figure it out. All right, let's see what's up next here. All right, at least we got a good order. Next up, 0 for 2, center fielder, Julio Rodriguez. Getting a solo jack or a single or double would be nice, or hell, even a triple. We'll take anything. A walk, hit by pitch. If you don't get hurt, just get fucking on base. Batting second, 0 for 2, catcher, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. And batting third, 0 for 2 with a K, left fielder, Randy Arozarena. You know who we're really missing, on this team? Victor Robles. If we had Victor Robles on the team and he was leading off, then we could move JP, down lower in the order, with Ben Williamson, and we would actually be a much better team. Like, again, Leote, is okay. He's like a poor man's Victor Robles, but we'd be a hell of a lot better team, obviously on top of having Logan, Gilbert and George Kirby and Bryce Miller being injured. But, not having Victor Robles, he was one of the best players on the team last year overall. He kind of set the tone, had a good attitude, like Eugenio Suarez, good vibes only. And again, when you don't have a guy at the top of the order that's consistent, JP had a nice little streak. But again, Victor Robles, is the ideal guy to have leading off, And again, you can put JP at the 2 or at the 9. But we'll see where things go here. We just need 2 runs, and hopefully we can get them. We need a solo jack here and a solo jack here, and then it'll be 6-2. But we'll see who comes in here for the Nats, and hopefully the pitching that they bring in will be as equally as bad as ours was here today. And they're going to be bringing in Lord. Lord's got a 4.58 ERA. And let's take a look at Williams. We can salute him. I'm not a hater here. All right, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, and only 2 Ks, 77 pitches, 54 strikes, but Mariners just couldn't hit off of him for whatever reason. I mean, we only got 3 hits today and an error. Terrible. First pitch to Julio, high and inside with a 4-seam fastball by Lord. 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, big swing and a miss, high and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike to Julio Rodriguez. Come on, Julio. All the Julios. I don't care how many photos it takes. In play. And grounded out to the pitcher. Throw to first. Fuck. 1 away. It's not Julio's day yet. Next up, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. First pitch, fouled off. 4-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour with some heat. 0-1 count. Come on, Cal. Somebody's got to get the rally started. 0-1 pitch, fouled off. Behind in the count now, 0-2 to big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Oh, Victor may not be ready until like September. So it's like we might not even see him unless we, get him in September, October. They're not going to rush him back and whatnot. But, he'll be one of the last guys back if he ends up coming back at all. Or we might just wait till next year. But, depends on his recovery and if he ends up having any setbacks. But, gosh, I miss him. Pitch fouled off. Still behind in the count 0-2 from Lord. Brad Lord. 15 games, 4.58 ERA, 33 Ks to 15 walks. In play. And a nice single by big dumper, Cal Raleigh. There we go. That's something. Runner at first. Nice job, Cal. I mean, normally we're looking at tridents up, right? But we'll take singles out of Cal also. Next up, 0 for 2 with a K, left fielder Randy Arozarena. Takes a strike swinging, first pitch, big swing and a miss, 0-1 count. Oh, 0-1 pitch, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 1 ball and 1 strike to Randy Arozarena. If there was ever a time that we needed this, right now, 2-run jack, it's fucking right now. I mean, even if we don't win the game, if we can get to 3 to 4 runs, that'll give us a better chance to win tomorrow. I don't want to lose 6-0. And I think that we'll get a minimum of 1 run, but I don't want to lose 6-1, 7-1, 8-1, 9-1. But again, it's, someone's got to have to step up. Who's it going to be? Pitches inside, 2 balls and 1 strike to Randy Arozarena. Oh, Kirby's terrible this year, Omar. He's not healthy. I think honestly, and I've been a fan of this team for 40 years. I think this year is going to be a wash for George Kirby. I don't think he's going to be good at all this year. Shoulder inflammation in spring training. It took him 50 plus games. He had, 3-4 starts in AAA. And again, these first 2 starts are terrible. And I think, you need to be able to send him back to AAA. And unfortunately, 3 of our top 5 starters are injured with Gilbert, Miller, and Kirby. But again, at least we have Logan Evans, and Emerson Hancock sometimes is a liability, but I would rather have a healthy Emerson Hancock than an injured George Kirby or Bryce Miller that is mentally or physically shaken. They're just not good right now. But luckily, Logan Gilbert will be back pretty soon, so that'll help us out on the pitching staff. Big swing and a miss. Randy not very reliable in the box. 2 away. Flying Monk in the building. What's good? Chris in the building. What's good? I mean, realistically, we're not coming back and winning this game. We're down 6 runs, but again, anything that we can get will carry over till tomorrow. But George looks terrible. I don't think I've ever seen George look this bad. But again, we've never seen George injured before. So again, it shows you how bad injuries can hurt a pitcher when they're normally a top 20 pitcher overall. George Kirby, he might not be as good as Logan Gilbert, who's normally a top 10. But if you get injured and it has to do with your arm, good luck. Hope it works out. But at least we have Logan Evans, who's our new Brian Wu. So that'll help kind of sting the blow a little bit. First pitch to Rowdy Tellez, who can obviously homer. 2-run jack by to Rowdy would be great. 1-0 count. Pitch. Big swing and a miss. High and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Brad Lord to Rowdy Tellez. Come on, Rowdy. Bring that electricity, baby. Big swing and a miss to a strike looking. High and inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. Cal at first. Can somebody get a fucking hit for the Mariners? Golly. 1-2 pitch. 4-seam fastball. High and away. Fouled off. 95 miles an hour by Brad Lord. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. Come on, Mariners. Come on, Rowdy. Let's bring up Harry Ford and Cole Young. It's time. Especially with, guys that normally we could count on early in the season, where we can't count on them now. Can't count on Polo. Can't count on Randy. Can't count on normally Garver or Mastroboni or Solano. Like, we have so many guys that are not reliable, you got to make some moves. Bring up some AAA guys. It can't hurt. Ben Williamson and Logan Evans ended up being a fit. And Tellez singles to left. There you go, my boy. There you go. Nice job, Rowdy. Next up, right fielder Leody Taveras. Now, Leody can get us back in the game with a home run here and make it 6-3. We still would probably lose if that happened, but you never know. All it takes is 1 swing to get back into it. Yeah, but also we had a different lineup, and no Polo. It had Dylan Moore in the lineup, and again, scoring with a 2-run jack, with Julio and then Cal. But it all started because JP got on base. And if you notice, when the Mariners get the first guy on, it tends to lead to really good things. When JP or Victor Robles doesn't get on in the first couple at-bats, then sometimes the game kind of ends up like this. It's very important to set the tone, with the first couple batters in the first inning. And again, the more chances that you get a single, double, triple home run with that first batter, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the game. And, Polo needs to be, demoted, and he needs to go lower in the lineup. He's not helping us at all being in the 2-hole whatsoever. Pitch fouled off. 2 balls and 1 strike to Leody Taveras. Yeah, but also too, this is the best team that we've had since 2001. It's been 24 years, so we are going to go through the ups and the downs. But again, I think this team has showed a lot of grit and a lot of heart. But the best part is, we're able to bring next man up mentality. And just because we're used to names like George Kirby and Bryce Miller, we have to come to the realization that, sometimes you got to look for the next guy. And at least we found one in Logan Evans, who definitely looks like a guy that could be a part of the starting 5 rotation for many, many years. Pitch fouled off. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Brad Lord to Leody Taveras. Come on, Leody. You homered with the White Sox. You helped us win that rubber match and the series. You ended up helping us win against the Astros. Can you help us here? Pitch is high and away. Pitch fouled off. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Lord to Taveras. I mean, when the bats are alive, like they were in the 9 consecutive series win, 6 runs ain't nothing. We could come back. But lately, we're more scoring like 1 to 3 runs with an occasional 5 runs or more, like every 3rd or 4th game. We're not the same team as we were during that win streak. You know, the bats have cooled off. We used to have 5 or 6 guys out of 9 that were hot. Now we're down to like 2 out of 9. Sometimes only 1 out of 9. You know, and again, that can definitely make things a lot tougher, you know, regardless if the pitcher is good or if they're not. You know, baseball is mental. You know, it's not just physical. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. Bottom of the 7th. We're down 6-0. We need a fucking big RBI or a 3-run jack here by Leote. Pitch is low and at the knees. Count now is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runners at first and second. And we really even haven't had opportunities to hit into double plays or to leave guys stranded because we haven't even been able to fucking hit today. I mean, we were sitting at 3 hits for the longest time. Now we're at 6. Or no, we're at 5. We're at 5 hits and 1 error, but... And Leote Taveras strikes out looking. Fucking A, man. Brutal. End of the 7th inning. 6-0 Nats. Again, hopefully we can... Now, I think at this point, you know, obviously it's very grim. You know, it's bleak. You know, we've been getting our ass kicked. Who knows who they're going to bring in the bullpen. You know, but now we need 3 runs in the 8th, 3 runs in the 9th. That's not, you know, typically possible. You know, it would be if we were in our 9-game win streak because we were flying high then, right? But now, with who we have, you know, we'd be lucky to get to 2. And hopefully we get to 1 so we don't get embarrassed and get fucking shut out by this team. You know, it's not like we're losing to the Rockies, but it kind of feels like it. But George Kirby, you know, you definitely need to go down to AAA, and I've already come to the realization that, you know, if he doesn't end up being good at all this year, I've already come to that fact. You know, like, I hope he gets better as the year goes on, but if he doesn't, you know, it doesn't mean that we're not going to, you know, win the division. It doesn't mean that we're not going to be able to go to the ALDS, ALCS, or make a World Series run. Even if George Kirby doesn't play on the team, you know, and play well, you know, for the rest of the year, we got Logan Evans. So at least we got a guy to replace him, you know. And again, you got Logan Gilbert, Brian Wu, Logan Evans, Luis Castillo, and then you just got to figure out that last guy. Who's it going to be? George Kirby, Bryce Miller, Emerson Hancock? You know, it has to be somebody. Can't get shut out. I want to try to get to 2 runs in this game. 1 run in the 8th, 1 run in the 9th. And I know that's not ideal. We need 3 and 3. But again, we don't want to lose 6-0. And obviously, tomorrow's game is nationally televised. It's a global broadcast on FS1. And there's only like 5 games on tomorrow. So a lot of people are going to be betting and watching, you know, on what is going to be going on. And we got Hancock on the mound tomorrow. So it's either going to go 1 or 2 ways. It's going to be exactly like this fucking game where he gets beat the fuck up and we end up getting our ass kicked, or he gives up 3 runs or less, the bats come alive, which I think they will, and then we end up winning like 5-3 or something like that, you know. So, you know, unless Hancock ends up pitching like Logan Evans and we end up having a massacre and we win 9-1, but I highly doubt it. All right, let's go, baby. Let's try to do something here. And they still got Blas Castaño out there. So obviously the Mariners have given up, just like they gave up in that White Sox game. You know, this one, it kind of feels like the same thing. You can always tell what the mindset is based on who they bring in from the pen or who they keep out there. It's like they've already, you know, given up. But I know the batters won't give up. But as far as like the pitching staff, you know, that feels like they have. 1-0 pitch and flies out to center. Julio is there. 1 away. Next up for the Nats, center fielder Robert Hassel III. 2 for 3 with a run, RBI, and a K. But again, George Kirby started, did terrible. Then we brought in Jackson Kowa, who they actually brought up from AAA, and they sent down Logan Evans after his brilliant performance yesterday, which is stupid, but, you know, that's the Mariners. And then they ended up bringing in Blas Castaño, who's making his 2025 debut like Kowa, and they're having him pitch 2 innings. So, you know, I guess that's, you know, I guess 6 runs is too much for Dan to think that we can actually do, you know. But again, it's like the bats have not really. Now, if we had like 12 hits right now and, you know, we're still at 0, then maybe this doesn't happen. But, you know, it's not like we're leaving a bunch of guys stranded. We just can't hit today. Pitch fouled off. 2 balls and 1 strike from Castaño to Hassel III. Yeah, terrible game, dude. Not what we expected. But again, George Kirby, don't expect him to be good this year. You know, if it took 50+ games for shoulder inflammation, just be thankful and count your blessings that we got a really good player in Logan Evans. And I don't really have a whole lot of faith in Bryce Miller either. Again, mentally, physically, elbow, back, his mentals, but at least that, Logan Gilbert, we can't have him be like the other two. We can't have Logan Gilbert turn into Kirby and Miller, but again, if it's Logan Gilbert, Brian Wu, Logan Evans, Luis Castillo, and then we have to figure out between three guys, George Kirby, Bryce Miller, or Emerson Hancock, then we'll figure it out. But, at least we got four guys, that we can trust for the most part, and then that one we'll figure out. Back. See ya! 7-0 Nats. And that's what happens when you keep a guy in that shouldn't even be in the game at all. Idiots. Nice homer there by Robert Hassel III. Hitting a homer on our guy that's making his MLB debut, shaking off Cal Raleigh, sending his ass back to AAA. Next up, third baseman, Jose Tena. No, Kirby's not even good enough to be a reliever. Like I said, that he had shoulder inflammation and it took 50+ games. He looks not even anything that you recognize. It's like, it's not even George Kirby anymore. It's like George Burby. I don't even know who this motherfucker is. It's not the same guy. He can't pitch. If you had Kirby pitch in relief, it would be just like having Trent Thornton giving up home runs in relief, and you're talking about sending him to AAA. Kirby is not good enough to be a starter, and he's definitely not good enough to be a bullpen guy. It's just, I love him, and I still think he's a good player, but he's hurt. He's not 100%. That shoulder is fucked. And I think that this year is a wash, and then we'll just have to wait till next year and see what happens. AM in the building. What's good? In play, and Tena grounded out to second. 2 away. Next up is Dalen Lyle. First pitch, fouled off, low and away. 0-1 count. I hope Kirby ends up coming back and being good, but again, when your ERA is fucking 11 or 12 and you're giving up 6, 7, fucking 8 runs every time you're out there, you're not helping the team. You're a liability. So Bryce Miller wasn't good before he went to the IL. He was terrible this year too, which is a weird thing to say, for two guys that are normally really, really good for us. But, next man up approach. Be thankful that we got Logan Evans, and we'll be calling him back up probably tomorrow morning. Takes a strike looking. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Top of the 8th. Blas Castaño making his 2025 debut, and Lyle in the box. And hopefully they bring up, Cole Young and Harry Ford from AAA. I mean, we're definitely hitting a wall. We're not scoring 5, 6 runs, every single game anymore. It's more like 1 to 3 runs, and right now we're at 0. In play. And a double by Lyle. Jesus Christ. Next up, shortstop, 0 for 4, CJ Abrams. First pitch in play, and he gets hit by a pitch. Why is this guy even in the game? But again, it's not like, you're going to bring in one of our solid pieces when you're down 7-0. I mean, based on how we're pitching right now, and they might get to 10 before this game is over. Maybe more. Next up, left fielder, the best player on the team, James Wood. He's hit home runs in both games. Got to be careful. Because if he ends up hitting a 3-run jack, it'll be 10-0. Flying Monk with a 5er. I am a fucking soldier, and I appreciate that. No matter what. I'm Mariners for life, dude. I've been watching this team for 40 years. Nothing can fucking faze me. Wins, losses, fights, it don't matter. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks with a little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. I mean, I got to call a spade, right? And there it is. in play, and James Wood with a double to center, 9-0. Nats, not surprised. You know, when you got a shitty pitcher on the mound going against the best player on the team, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? And he brings in 2. 9-0 Nationals. This is one of those games that obviously the Nats, you know, we beat them up 9-1 yesterday, right? Where it's like you just burn the tape and throw it away and you forget about it. But hard to forget when George was that bad today. Brutal. I'm not surprised. Again, like I follow the league very, very tightly, and James Wood is the best player on the team. And, you know, you got a shitty pitcher up there making his 2025 debut from AAA. You know, what did you think was going to happen? And again, as soon as I say they might get to 10, they got to 9, and we still got 2 innings to go. Brutal. But I do appreciate you very much. $5 holla. Let me know what you want to do for photos, if any, and I got you. But tomorrow will be better. We play at 6:40, same time, same place as Game 1 and Game 2. If it's on FS1, and Emerson Hancock's on the mound, and I actually believe that he'll do well. He'll give up 3 runs or less, and we're going to win tomorrow. And Lowe in play, flies out to left, and we finally get out of the inning. Now, all we need here in the bottom of the 8th is 9 runs. It's very doable. We need 5 runs in this inning and 4 runs in the next. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I mean, honestly, at this point, I would just be happy if we got 1. That's how bad it's been. Perfect. I got you. 5 more likes to 50, and that's the goal. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed the like button yet, please do. We need 5 more to hit the goal. Good old Sweet Lou. I love the jerseys and the hat with the teal brim. I actually have a vintage Ken Griffey Jr. 1997 vest jersey that they only wore for a year or 2 with the turtleneck to match. Super rare. It's like worth like $400 or $500, and I ended up getting it on eBay years ago for a half of that. And it's a very clean look. Wish they would go back to the vest look. But it's definitely my most expensive jersey that I own, but it's so clean. I don't wear it on stream because I don't want to get it dirty. Well, I don't even wear it when I go to the games in Seattle. It's just too expensive of a jersey. And it's actually, one of those old school jerseys that, is made by a manufacturer that no longer makes jerseys anymore for MLB. So, all right, Dylan Moore is in the game. And he's pinch hitting. All right, let's go, Demo. First pitch to Dylan Moore, high and inside with the sinker, 1-0 count. Come on, Demo. 1-0 pitch. Inside, 1 ball and 1 strike from Ferrer to Demo. Bottom of the 8th, 9-0, Nats. Brutal. We need some Sweet Lou luck. 1-1 pitch, inside. 2 balls and 1 strike to Demo Dylan Moore. 2-1 pitch, takes a strike looking high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Come on, Demo. And in play on the 2-2 pitch. And grounded out to second, throw to first, 1 away. Next up is Ben Williamson, 1 for 2. Yeah, but those baseball jerseys in the 90s made by Russell Athletic, it's like when they made kids basketball jerseys with Champion back in the day. There's a lot of manufacturers that have switched through like Reebok and Nike, and obviously seeing whoever wants to pay the most money as Williamson grounds out to the pitcher, throw to first, 2 away. But those Russell Athletic jerseys, they're like Mitchell and Ness. Again, they're very, very high end quality, and maybe one of the days when it's not too hot, maybe I'll bust it out, but not when the weather is scorching hot here. Next up is J.P. Crawford. First pitch to J.P. Crawford. Takes a strike looking high and away, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, low and away with that slider. 1 ball and 1 strike to J.P. Crawford. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got people on the West Coast, in the Midwest, East Coast, in the South, and we got a lot of people globally that watch the channel. So it's not just in the United States, it's a little bit of everywhere. And down he goes. Brutal. All right, we only need 9 runs in the 9th inning or 10 to win. We can do that, right? But we have 2,200 regular viewers on the daily, that come through. And the breakdown is 70% of the audience is in the United States, but we have 4% in Venezuela, 4% in Mexico. Dominican Republic is 3.2%. And then everything below that is, 1 to 2%. Canada, Japan, Philippines, Taiwan, Nicaragua, India, New Zealand, Australia. So, I mean, it goes a lot deeper than I ever thought. But again, there's a lot of people that try to do baseball. It's definitely not easy, but I feel like I do one of the best, jobs as far as a streamer, that does this type of content that's out there in the world. So thank you for all the people that have liked, subbed, donated, commented, shared. And this is only the beginning. Top of the 9th inning, 9-0 Nats, which is terrible. And if we can get a run, we'll lose 9-1, just like the Nats did yesterday. If we don't, we're going to get a goose egg, which is absolutely horrendous. But again, George Kirby was not good today, and it all starts at the top. We didn't really get off to a good start hitting the ball, and George put us in a hole early, and, they never looked back. Next up for the Nats, catcher Keibert Ruiz. Batting second baseman Luis Garcia Jr., and batting third, DHing Josh Bell. Let's go Mariners. Come on, Sweet Lou. We need you. Appreciate you. That's a good thing, too. Paying it forward, my guy. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks with a little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. Thank you so much, man. You can always tell the people that have the big hearts and the generosity, Again, liking the channel, subbing to the channel, liking the videos or the streams, sharing, posting, and then obviously the ultimate honor that you can do for any streamer is donating. So that way they can continue doing the dream and paying the bills, taking care of my pup and just paying the basic bills to keep this, dream alive so I can do this every day. Ruiz lines out to center. 1 away. Down goes Keibert Ruiz. Next up, second baseman Luis Garcia Jr. that homered earlier in the matchup with Josh Bell back-to-back in the second. First pitch. And they still got Castaño in the game. That's when you know that they said, fuck it, right? You got a guy that's making his 2025 debut, right? And they decided to do that with Jackson Kowar, who pitched an inning. And then now you have this guy that's pitching 3 innings. They said, fuck this. We're just going to, hopefully we get to 1. But if we lose 9-0, they're obviously just thinking about tomorrow. Garcia Jr. flies out to Julio, 2 away. Potentially the last batter for the Nats in the game, DHing Josh Bell, who hit a homer right after Garcia did in the 2nd inning to give them a 2-0 lead on George Kirby. And they've been able to manufacture 7 runs after that. After having one of the most exciting, fun games to call yesterday, this is one of the worst in 2025. And it's crazy how the run of emotions can be so different between game in and game out. Yesterday, Logan Evans pitching 8 innings, Julio with a 2-run blast in the first, Cal with a solo jack. We're up 3-0 early as Bell singles to right, and then everything just falling to shit in this game. But at least we play tomorrow, and we still have a chance to win the series, which we will. Even with Emerson Hancock on the mound, I trust him more than an injured Kirby or an injured Bryce Miller. Facts. Top of the 9th, runner at first with 2 outs, 9-0 Nationals. Fucking A, man. First pitch, high and away with a sweeper, 1-0 count. Now, like I said, I know this team, probably better than anybody. Again, I've been watching for a long, long time. I might look kind of young, but I've been watching this team for almost 40 years. And, we're not coming back. Hell, we might not even be able to get to 1. That's how bad it's been today, I want to say that we can get to 1, but my gut kind of feels like we're going to lose 9-0 unless they end up getting more in this inning. I don't think we're going to even get 1. That's just the type of day it's been. But tomorrow, I think we're going to have a good chance for 4 runs or more, and we're going to need it. As long as Emerson Hancock gives up 3 runs or less, we score 4 or 5 or more, we'll be fine. I'm not going to be right about everything. No one is, but I'll have quite a few ESP moments and I'll predict, what's going to happen pretty often, usually once or twice a game. And it doesn't even matter if I'm doing baseball. It could be football, it could be college football, NFL, basketball, hockey. History repeats itself. You just need to be able to, notice the signs. Pitches outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. That Hassel the third. Come on, baby. And Hassel the third strikes out swinging. All right, here we go. Last opportunity for the Mariners, and I hope that we can get at least 1 so that we don't have a donut. Again, we're going to lose. Fuck it, fine. But let's at least get 1 for pride. Let's see if we actually have a lineup that can do it. All right, batting first, 0 for 3, a guy that we could really rely on that was batting 350 to 450 for a while, but has really cooled off, DHing Jorge Polanco. If I had to put money on it, I don't think he'll get a hit, but maybe these 2 guys will. Batting second on deck, 0 for 3, center fielder Julio Rodriguez, and batting third, 1 for 3 with a single, catcher Big Dumper Cal Raleigh. So, besides Polo, at least we got 2 out of the 3 that more than likely have a chance, but you're probably not going to get a home run out of anybody at this point. You just got to hope for, back-to-back hits, and you get like an RBI single to get it to 9-1. But the way that this day has gone, it's like burn the tape, throw it away, never watch it again, and just, come in fresh tomorrow. And what a dramatic difference. Kicking their ass 9-1, and we're potentially about to lose 9-0 in the next game. So I don't think anyone predicted that. But it's still Mariners till I die. Let's go, baby. Yeah, we only got 5 hits all day. Pathetic. And it's not like, the pitcher that we were going against was like Skubal or something like that. Like we're like, oh, okay, I understand why we got roughed up. Like Trevor Williams, 2-5 record, ERA of 6.39. But he looked like a 5-2 record with an ERA of maybe 2.39. But again, sometimes the Mariners will make even people with shitty records and high ERAs look like a Cy Young candidate. But hopefully we get something out of Polo, Julio, and Cal so we don't get the goose egg. All right, come on, Mariners. I still believe that we can get to 1. I mean, that's where it's come down to. Instead of, thinking about actually coming back and tying or winning, we just have to not get a 0. But my gut tells me we're going to end with a 0. But we'll see if I'm right. I hope I'm wrong. First pitch to Jorge Polanco. Takes a strike swinging, high and away. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Fouls that one off in the same location with the changeup. This time around, 86 miles an hour. Brzezicki on the mound, Polo in the box. 0-2 count. Baseball is mental too. So it's not just the physical part, swinging the bat, it's mentally, actually, believing in yourself that you can actually get something done. And when you get down to 9-0 at the end of the game, most of the people are thinking about, okay, I need to shower, I need to go to dinner, have a drink, meet up with this person. Not a lot of people are still thinking, let's make a run, let's make a rally, let's come back. Now if we were only down a run or 2, then it's a different story. But when you're down 9, body language is pretty much like, yeah, let's just, we're waiting for tomorrow. Pitch fouled off. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Brzezicki, Zach Brzezicki, to Jorge Polanco. Let's go, baby. Come on, Polo. Pitch fouled off. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Brzezicki to Polo. 1-2 pitch. Low and at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Jorge Polanco. No, you are correct, Michael. I think baseball, again, is the hardest sport to play, offensively and defensively. Again, I put hockey up there right behind it. And then obviously basketball and football are much easier. It's a lot easier to make a layup, shoot a 3-point basket, catch a pass, score a touchdown, compared to, skating and actually defending and making goals and accurate passes in the NHL. But with baseball, having to hit, 5, 6, 7 different types of pitches with different types of pitchers, Polo lined out to right, 1 away. And then, pitching, hitting, defending. To me, as far as the 4 major sports, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, I would definitely put baseball and hockey as the hardest. No doubt. Next up is Julio Rodriguez. First pitch, takes a strike looking at the knees, 0-1 count. You have to also understand, to get paid a lot of money, all you have to do is hit 3 times out of 10 and have a 300 average. But even a lot of guys in MLB can't even do that. So it's not like we have guys that are hitting 700 in MLB, 7 out of 10. It's like you hit 3 out of 10, you might be a multimillionaire. You hit 2 out of 10, you may not even be in MLB. And if you're hitting 1 out of 10, you're probably in AAA or going to get cut. So there is a very fine line between, being rich and not having a job. That's why baseball is the toughest. Pitch fouled off. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. Come on, Julio. Can we get one of these? Just not today. My pup is in here now. She said, I miss you, Dad. And then she saw the scoreboard and almost got sick. Bottom of the 9th, 9-0 Washington. Let's get those last 2 likes, baby. Pitch is high and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. All right, there we go. We need 1 more like to hit the goal for the stream. We're at 49. 1 more to get to 50. If you're in the room and haven't done it, check your phone or your computer, tablet or TV, whatever you're watching on, and play. And Julio fouls out to the catcher, 2 away. I'm telling you, my ESP is usually pretty on. All right, last batter potentially. 1 for 3. It would be awesome if he could end up hitting a homer, but obviously it'll help us more if he does it tomorrow. Big dumper, Cal Raleigh. I would rather, it'd be great if he could get us to at least 9-1, but, I'm not sure. We'll see. Come on, Cal. Yeah, we're not going to even score a run, and again, it's like sometimes if you watch baseball long enough, even with a top 5 MVP candidate in Cal Raleigh, even, Cal at times will have a hard time, torpedo bat or not, we're not getting any runs here. And there it is. My ESP was correct. I wish I was wrong. There goes Cal Raleigh, and he ends up flying out to center. And that's the end of the game. Let's burn the tape. Let's never watch it again. Let's forget about this game. And then let's go in tomorrow, with a good positive attitude, right? Good vibes only, as Eugenio Suarez would say. And we're going to come in, and we're going to give up 3 runs or less for Emerson Hancock. We're going to score 4 to 5 runs or more tomorrow. The bats will come alive, 7 to 10 hits, 4 to 5 runs, and we're going to end up winning the series. There we go. We got it. Good job, Captain. I appreciate you. We hit 45s, almost half of the goal, and we got to our 50 like number. Captain, you're the man. I appreciate you very, very much. Not the outcome that we wanted, and again, we're not going to have too many games where we get blown out like this, but this was one of them, and I know tomorrow will be better. So again, we're going to be live tomorrow, same time, same place, 6:40 Pacific. It's going to be on FS1, and there's only like 4 or 5 games total tomorrow. So a lot of people will be watching. So we got to bring our best game and our best foot forward tomorrow. I got one question for you. Well, talk sports like us. Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Shout out to Captain, Monkey Kung Fu, Flying Monk, and Odin Sun. Thank you for the support, and thank you, Captain, for doing what you do and holding it down for me. I appreciate you very, very much. And Trident's up. Mariners are going to win tomorrow. I love you guys. Have a great rest of your night, and I'm out. Go Mariners. Trident's up.